Alright.
What did she just say? She's ready to. Yep, she's in there. Yep, I'm ready.
Forgot about my switch duties.
Good evening. Welcome to the Board of Selectmen meeting, Monday, June 5th, 2017. Mr. Clerk, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. All right, the agenda this evening, at item 1, 6:30 PM, organization pledge and read mail. Item 2, at 6:35, joint meeting with the planning board. We're going to discuss the Littleton MBTA commuter rail station parking expansion, as well as discuss the master plan implementation committee, doing some interviews and appointments this evening. At 7:10, item 3 is public input and members' input. I just ask that if you are going to offer your public input, that you raise your hand, be recognized by the chair, identify yourself and your address, and speak through the chair. At 7:15, item 4 is town boards. First item is Board of Health. There's a notice of a vacancy. Item B is annual town board appointments. A number of those this evening. And item C is Church Meadow lease extension at 194 Great Road. 8 PM at item 5 is a public hearing. Somebody keep me on task with that. Transfer of an all-alcoholic beverage license up at the point. 8:15, item 6 is Board of Selectmen, review of 2018 goals, annual review of policies and regulations, and our meeting schedule through December of 2017. At 8:45, hopefully we'll be a little ahead of schedule at this point, but town administrator, assistant town administrator report, which will involve the treasurer's update on bond anticipation notes or bans, highway procurement front-end loader, which actually I'm probably going to take that out of order so that Mr. Stoddard can get on his commute home. And item C is regional housing services, intermunicipal agreement with Hudson, Bolton, Boxborough, Stowe, and Devons. Last item under Town Administrator Report is Montechusett Regional Transit Authority representative. And then item 8 is other business, which is all we have on there is minutes approval for this evening. So, on to mail. Mr. Bergman, please.
Mr. Chairman, just one item I put in the mail packet, and it's a copy of the work program for the Magic Subregion of MAPC that was adopted at the annual meeting. And what I wanted to call to your attention in particular is that the Magic Subregion this year is adding an initiative on age-friendly communities, which is a program that's sponsored by the AARP. There was a presentation made by AARP. There was great interest from the groups. I know that some of our other staff, the COA and Marinette Planning, have also been briefed on this. It looks like a good fit for Littleton, and many of the other communities in the region are interested as well. Might be something good for the sake of branding to have a, to be an AARP age-friendly community. So we want to stay on top of that and pursue that. So that's the update for tonight.
Thank you very
When
much.
we meet every week, it's tough to get a new batch of mail in.
Much new mail.
We got a lot of mail this week, though, which was a lot of probably as many applications as I've ever seen come in for town boards.
Oh, good.
So that's great.
Excellent. All right. We do have item 2 is the joint meeting with the planning board, but if you guys wouldn't mind, if I could take Mr. Stoddard ahead of you, just a quick procurement piece. You guys okay with that? All right, thank you.
It's at
Mr. Stoddard.
7B.
So, yeah, we're going to jump to 7B, folks. Everybody okay with that?
This is fine with it.
Well, you get in here at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, and to put you at 8:45, I think we can try to accommodate you.
I appreciate that, thank
Just don't get on our bad side, because you'll be at 8:15, 9:15, yeah. All right, item 7B is procurement of a front-end loader to replace the front-end loader.
you. Yes.
You want to take it, you want Keith to give us an overview, or?
Yeah, it's, we're replacing our 1998 John Deere 544 front end loader with the same model, 544, just 2017.
And the purchase price includes a $25,000
Yes,
trade-in.
oh, yes,
existing
yeah,
vehicle.
we're getting $25,000 for a trade-in, which is fantastic, so.
Criminal.
Yeah. And they had it sold before, it's actually sold before we even left the lot. It hasn't even left yet, and they already have it sold, so.
Good.
So town meeting had appropriated 175,000, we're coming in under,
Yes.
good.
Yeah.
Next week, we'll have a one-ton dump truck.
I'm
Next
hoping,
week,
if I don't know by tomorrow, then we might have to push it 2
Okay,
weeks.
there's one other.
We're working on
vehicle
our
procurement.
the F-550 dump truck, but we're trying to get the prices for the equipment, the body, and the plow sorted out, so haven't quite got that figured out yet.
Okay. Pretty much no-brainer. Town meeting approved $175,000. We were able to get this for $169,900. So entertain a motion.
Move the Board of Selectmen vote pursuant to Article 8 of the May 1st, 2017 Annual Town Meeting to approve award of a contract the amount of $160,900 to Schmidt Equipment Incorporated of North Oxford, Mass. for the purchase of a new John Deere 544 front-end loader for the Highway Department. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Safe trip home.
Thanks.
Thank you.
That's all we've done.
All right, so now going to joint meeting with the planning board. First item on our agenda, item 2A, is MBTA commuter rail parking. And got some pretty interesting and good news last week. Pete, you want to,
Sure, we had
Deliver
the good news from the MBTA that they have found $1.5 million in their budget for expansion of parking at the Littleton commuter rail station. It's one of the few stations that they're actually expanding parking. That they've committed a good deal of money to maintaining their lots, and they are actually adding spaces in Littleton. The big question is how many spaces, and it's, I think the answer is somewhere between 43 and 109 on the side, closer to the 43. And as you may recall, we had seen an earlier version of a conceptual plan last August, in fact, where it looked like they could do 109 spaces. Conceptual plan prepared by Hancock Associates. I should say that the T is right now authorizing Green International, and we have Co and Luke here from Green tonight, that Green is being given the go-ahead to do the final design for the, or whatever the design, next, okay, the penultimate designs, which will give us a better definition of how many spaces. Most asked question is how many spaces might we get, and I think the answer is we don't know yet, but we will know more as the process continues. The revised conceptual plan that the T made available to us last week shows a smaller number of spaces than 109. It shows 43 spaces with, and let me just go in. This is that plan, just for the perspective. This is the location that we're looking at. There are some spaces next to the commuter rail station. The others would go across Foster Street along Grimes Lane. These are the proposed spaces next to the existing spaces near the train station, and it's proposed to increase a net increase of 23 spaces at this location. I should say the easy spaces have already been built. That there were 200 spaces that were built initially back in 2012 when the T acquired the property with the parking for $2 million from Nordblum. And the Executive Office of Economic Development awarded the T a $2 million grant with which they could acquire the property so that there would be public parking next to this brand-new commuter rail station they were building. As you can sort of see on this plan, there's a real drop-off from let me go back to a larger scale. There's a real drop-off once you go beyond where the existing parking is, and there's also some very challenging terrain. It's like this on Grimes Lane. There are some spaces along the rail line right down here, and then up higher, you've got where the other spaces would go. An earlier conceptual plan showed the Grimes Lane sign as being just all flat. Would have taken a hell of a lot of excavation to pull that off and loss of trees, so that they redesigned this conceptual, they being Hancock Associates, had done a redesign. And in taking a second look at the spaces closer to the station, there was quite a decrease in the number of additional spaces that they could produce, again, because the terrain is pretty challenging. So even though they could build 200 spaces for $2 million, the $1.5 million isn't going to come close to that. But what our hope is, and what I've been asking the T to do, is to allow us to engage the MBTA and their consultants with the specifics of what spaces can go where, so that we can put on the table what issues are of concern to the town. Is there, one of the things we're looking at is that there may be a realignment of Grimes Lane as a result of some other things going on at the Durkee K subdivision that's in front of the planning board. There may be other opportunities to identify additional parking spaces. From my preliminary conversation by phone with Co and Luke, it seems like that it may be most, from what we can see right now, may be most cost-effective to be adding spaces next to the station as opposed to on the Grimes Lane side, except that both sides are really challenging. And so where we finally have the ability to engage with the MBTA's consultant, thought that it would be timely, and since our two boards tonight, Planning Board and the Board of Selectmen are meeting jointly, it might be timely just to share the plan, see what issues folks have, and just in a very preliminary way, identify things that we'd want to be able to communicate with the T's consultant. And then here's a further, this is what the town's GIS says, or the wetlands, but I know it's an imprecise science, so.
Okay. So, do we have, so we're looking at a net gain based on what they've got before us from Hancock of 43.
Yes.
All right, so, does anybody have any questions before I jump out to the planning board?
Just like to get the planning board up.
Yeah. You guys have any input, questions, thoughts?
Between the bucks, I hope we get more than 43 spaces.
1.5. We've already saved
this
I
that.
hope we get more than 43 spaces for
Yeah, we hope so.
1.5 million.
Yeah, we all hope so.
Have we brought Roger Nordblum into the discussion? He came before the planning board in 2010, and that's what started the first parking lot out there. Maybe we should, I know he's come before us with a million different plans of what to do out there. Maybe we can work something out with added parking and some sort of development out there to put a few amenities at that end of the town to see what this, I know, there's always a for sale sign, but maybe now it's time to approach Nordblum to see if we can work a deal out with him now that we have state money coming in.
Yeah, it's money that the MBTA has to spend on itself. So the $1.5 million that the MBTA has for the parking is earmarked for MBTA property. So,
We'd have to acquire land essentially.
yeah, I mean, and the T, we have, we walked the site, not, although it was over a year ago, with the then chief of MBTA Real Estate, in the hope that if there were some adjacent properties, that they might want to acquire those. What they did was went back and then looked to see, without having to acquire additional property, how much could they create on the property that they own, either, MBTA or state-owned property. And from that analysis, they actually added, I forget, 25, 30 spaces that they did by filling in, wherever cars were illegally parked, they just paved it over and created spaces there. And then on the other side of the street, they created these, they put parking back where the old free parking was before the new station was built. So we went from 200 up to, 250 or whatever it's at now, but we'd like to go further. But if there were additional properties that, I mean, I don't know, if there were additional, there's still the need for more than 43 additional spaces. There would be the need for 100 spaces easily, 200.
Why don't we just invite Roger, somebody from North Blooming, and see if they're interested in, especially now that the T is interested in doing something out there. Now's the time to at least ask them in and see what their plans are, and if there's anything we can work out with them.
His land might be a little bit easier to develop than some of this land too, right?
Right, it's the top of the hill, it keeps going, there's 56 acres up there, I'm sure there's something better than what we have.
Is the main challenge with developing these, particularly on the station side, just the grade? Maybe this is a question for the engineers. What's the limitation here? Why the high cost per parking space?
Well, we didn't establish that 1.5, I mean, and right now, the only thing we have is this plan here. We're technically not even under contract with MBTA yet, so we haven't even really delved too deep into this. I mean, essentially, we've looked at the same plan that you guys.
I did browbeat the MBTA to give them permission to send it tonight so we can have this discussion about it.
Well, what we can do is, once we start, sign the contract, we have a kickoff meeting, and we can definitely bring it up. And I think we like to know, what the town's preference is. So obviously sounds like town would like more than 43, if possible. And, we can definitely bring it up with MBTA and also MBTA, when we did the email correspondence, there's some, misunderstanding within MBTA what the number is.
Yeah.
Initially, they showed much larger number of parking spaces, but that design didn't work because the parking completely filled the detention pond of the parking lot. So obviously they realized that, but they just took the parking spaces away. So we don't know the history of.
Yeah. I'm not so
Yeah.
sure the dollar figure of 1.5 million bears any relation to any plan, as much as it bears in relation to their budget.
Right, so I
And how
don't
much they
know
have available for it.
what kind of analysis being
Yeah.
done for that either. So we are really, at this point, really, at least for us, dealing with, MBTA open to any, direction. I guess if you let us know, put it this way. We heard the town wants more parking spaces, so we can definitely, when we talk to MBTA, that seems to be town's preference. So we may, come up with some design acceptable to MBTA for more parking spaces. So-
And I'm not sure if the MBTA had ruled this in or out or not, but when, actually, I think it was PJ, when he was on the board, we had a site visit with Mark Boyle, the then head of the, chief of real estate for the T, and we'd seen a couple of things. One is that there are if you have parking at all on the other side of the street, then there's some concerns about accessibility and, handicapped accessibility to get safely from those spaces on the other side of Foster Street over to where the station is. And right now, you're coming up against the Grimes Lane is just, it's too close for safety for pedestrian safety to, where the train track intersects.
The gate.
So, so that's one thing, but also that the T owns property further back, that they own it right along the railroad right-of-way, the Route 2 right-of-way, that goes much, much further back, and I don't know if any of those, the ability to develop any of those spaces, if those are not wet, or if they're
So Keith, are you
Less challenge.
referencing this triangle right here?
No, up above, yeah, between Grimes Lane, that's, yeah, that is a, that is MBTA-owned property. This here all the way back is MBTA property, so maybe they could,
Okay.
Peter is.
Hang on one second, Ed. Mr. Scott?
Peter Scott, Scott Road Planning Board. There's a number that I assume is assimilated with number of handicap spaces with the amount of spaces that are developed. If that be the case, I don't think you really have to worry about handicap accessibility from the other side of Graham's Lane, because they're gonna give the handicap spots
Closer
and
to
the
the,
numbers to them right in front of the place, so that's kind of, I would say, a moot subject.
thank you. Mr. Mullen?
Ed Mullen, Chris Mill, Chair of Planning Board. I just want to reiterate what Keith was saying. As a member of the Planning Board, we were discussing Grimes Lane and the concerns we have at that intersection also. And a reconfiguration of that area would be something as a board we'd be looking to see occur, especially with the development that's occurring behind there. The safety of not only the parking for the T, but the new residents that are going to occupy Durkee and eventually K, that area should be reconfigured.
It'll be access to that new development. So what you talking about? No reconfiguration down here, which brings Grimes Lane down away from the tracks?
That would be our hope, that the developer of that area would reconsider how Grimes Lane comes out onto Foster Street.
Which would potentially open up additional real estate for additional parking. Where are we at with that, Keith? Do we have any update on, do you guys have any update on that? Did it work with Guthrie at all on that, or? Dave's here?
Dave's in the back of the room, yeah.
Excellent. Dave, do you have any input on, you guys had discussions about this? Is the first you're hearing about this?
No, Keith and I, Dave Guthrie, Turkey Farm, Keith and I have been talking about it. Certainly desire of the planning board to fix that. When we met with Mr. Boyle a year or so ago, it was here, one of his members would like this, or the interest was having Grimes moved. I think they like 100 or 150 feet away from a crossing like that. Certainly, I think some of the common sense engineering would be to align it with the access to the parking lot, which brings it up, I think, to say required distance from that crossing.
Yeah.
Both, at Foster and adjacent on Grimes. We own the land there. And certainly open to the concept, both to serve that parking and also self-serving, because it is the desire of the planning board to realign that for our future, potentially future development, okay? And then we have.
He's working on it as we speak.
Yeah, I gotta,
That parcel, any land that we own that's adjacent to that roadway would not be part of our development. That would certainly be open to working with the MBTA and or the town and providing additional parking there as well. So we're in the conversation, I guess is the best way to put it.
Okay, that's good. Great, I appreciate that. Thanks for being here. All right, so, does anybody have any questions specific of Green? Just the fact that they're in the room that's good. We've got some dialogue at least started.
Yes.
And do we want to have anybody kind of take the lead on this as far as transportation? We haven't necessarily assigned transportation.
yeah, it's the
specifically.
sort of thing that as these discussions have taken place in the past, it's helpful if
Point.
if we could have a point person from or persons from the Board of Selectmen and the Planning Board to be, so that we can, sort of be working on things.
Get
to
our
bring
free
back.
engineering work,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'd be happy to run point on this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Given I'm plenty of work on Turkey on the other side, it's quite a cons con.
Yeah, true.
Unless someone else wants it.
Or we could if somebody else is interested, we could have two people run point on it as well. It's something new. There's a subcommittee. But Chase for sure. Okay, great.
We need a good conduit to make sure we don't lose the thread of things, and the ideas that were raised in this room are good. I just
Yeah.
hope they get followed up on.
I mean, I think one of the overarching things is $35,000 per parking spot. probably not a sustainable.
Yeah, we're kind of backing into that, because 1.5 is the number that they have
Let-
available.
Let's find out what the real
Yeah,
number is.
yeah, exactly. Do you guys want to have somebody kind of run point for planning board?
Looks like Ed volunteered.
Everybody else step backwards, I don't know what that means.
Great, very good,
All right,
thank you.
good deal, so we're good.
Thanks for getting us started tonight. Thank you.
Thank you for coming out tonight, guys, really appreciate it, and we'll continue the conversation. Mr. Guthrie, thanks again. All right, good deal. So next up on our agenda is
Can we change our minds?
as to who is going to be representing planning board?
Yeah, actually, Richard Crawley had professed interest in doing this.
Can I change my mind?
He actually did, because he's got a lot of...
Is this thing on?
Hello, hello?
We're okay. I got it.
Sure.
That was your round.
Thank you, Ed. So let it be read.
So let it be done.
All right, good deal. So we, continuing our joint meeting with the planning board, we had a meeting previously, end of May, for the master plan implementation committee. And we are jointly going to conduct some interviews. I will say that we've got, we have six applicants. So I guess we'll just take them in the order that we've got them. Mr. Fontanella.
For clarification, though, first, we did set a number of positions, 5 full members plus 2 alternate members, and it doesn't reflect it here, but we had talked about the logic in having a planning board and a selectman member,
I apologize.
well, yeah,
Yeah,
so,
that-
which
that is-
are not reflected in the applicant list.
So we did have that conversation, and I think you guys were
hadn't reached
sort of
closure on
indifferent,
it.
yeah,
we
sort of
had-
indifferent
we had
as to whether or
closed that
not.
discussion with you guys, or even amongst ourselves, on whether it should be a member from our board or not. I can certainly poll our board now and find out whether they thought a member from our board should be present.
I guess, yeah, go ahead. As far as we're concerned,
It's under the selectmen are not having a member on this board, correct?
No, we are, well, I mean, I've expressed
we're
interest.
open, we're open to that discussion. We
If we're having this discussion.
I'd like to, yeah, I've been on from the start, I'd like to kind of see it through.
Every 2 years.
We'll appoint a member as well, if the selectmen so desire.
I would imagine that with the implementation and the actionables that have to be taken, that our board's kind of being responsible for the implementation and the actions, stands to reason that it wouldn't be a terrible idea for us to have representation. That being said, I know that Mr. Glavy has expressed interest. Does anybody else from our board?
I'd be happy to help them.
Yeah, I just think if
consensus.
this committee's gonna have, be effective, then it's gotta be bringing, kind of going through all the big piles of paper and putting them into order, as I'm sure PJ understands, other people who participate in the process. And logically, every recommendation is gonna come back to the planning board or the selectmen, so it, for lines of communication, I think it makes sense to have that.
I mean, I think that can be accomplished whether we have a voting member or a permanent assignee advisory member to the implementation committee. So those are, in my mind, those are equivalent, but I think you're right that there needs to be communication between implementation and planning and implementation and selecting. Whether they're voting or not, I could be convinced of it.
So we had posted for 5 regular and 2 alternate members. Would the proposal be for us to continue with our search for 5 regular and 2 alternate members?
Well, we posted for at least 5 because we were gonna wait and see.
No fewer than 5, that's correct,
Right.
yeah. So maybe the easiest way to not leave anybody off the merry-go-round is to the 5 we anticipated, plus a selectman and a planning board member, or do people think that's too big a group?
It depends on the members, that the select, the
Right.
planning members gonna be voting members, we gotta make that decision before we
Right.
make the.
I would like to see 5 non-planning board selectmen voting members. And if that means we go to 7 and then planning and selectmen are also voting, that's fine with me, but I'd 5.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I agree with that. So, no
I
fewer,
don't
no
know
fewer
what-
than 5, other than the planning board and board of selectmen, and potentially have the 7-member voting board with the representatives. All right. We good? All right. Moving forward, I'd like to ask Mr. Fontanella to come forward. So, pretty informal. We'll just ask one at a time, folks to come up. We'll ask some questions, and later. We've all had a chance to review resumes and applications, so welcome.
Thank you.
Let me just start off by introducing yourself and why you want.
All right, Mike Fontanella. I'm currently on the school committee. I've been on the school committee for 11 years, chairman for a few years now. I was on the master plan update steering committee for the last 2 years. Was also on the alumni field renovation advisory committee.
You still are.
Still are, yep, thank you. Enjoyed the 2 years in the process that we went through. Wasn't quite sure what I was getting into, and was kind of roped into doing it. I wouldn't say under false pretenses, but I made an assumption that turned out to not be the case, but it turned out fine. I enjoyed the process quite a bit, learned a lot. And one of the things that emerged quite quickly was when we were going through the process, talking about the previous master plan, and really the frustration that more of it wasn't implemented than it was. And our consultants that we hired had talked about how that was a big change in the new generation of master plans, was the formation of implementation committees to make sure that all the work that gets done during the creation of the master plan, as much of it gets followed through as possible. And I felt that that was an intriguing concept, and right away said that would be something I would want to be participating in, because I put 2 years into this and I'd like to see it come to fruition as much as possible. I feel like the experience that I have in various boards and committees in town, I think it would lend, my experience would lend itself well to that process, and I'm happy to be a part of it if you guys decided that's the right thing to do.
Thank you. Chase, do you have any questions, Mr. Fontanella? or-
Probably, but I'm a little concerned in the interest of time, keeping things moving a little bit, so.
Okay. So you want to not ask any questions?
You're going to ask me questions beyond this forum if you want, I don't care. I am one of those people that loves to talk about it, I don't know why, but I do.
Anybody, anything specific in the interest of time?
I just have one, what do you see as the process that this committee will go through? Will you go through page 1 and go straight through, or take certain
I don't think it would,
subjects?
yeah, I don't think it'll be a linear process. I have been thinking about it. I think what has to happen is initially, the communication and interaction between the implementation committee and the other boards and committees across town is going to be minimal, because I think that the MPIC is going to have to digest this. It's one thing to put it together, and it's another thing to digest it. And one of the things that we did as the Master Plan Update Steering Committee was put priorities on things, and also put effort levels on what we think it would take to achieve things. So I think the MPIC has to do a lot of work in condensing that and coming forth with a multi-tiered, multi-phased plan. Here are the things we can get out of the way now. Here are the things we think we can do on a fairly moderate level of effort and/or cost. And here are the things that are going to be quite challenging and are going to have a much longer time horizon. So I think we need to do that. Once we have that kind of in place, then we can start to go out to the boards and committees and start picking them off one by one, or laying the groundwork for those longer-term projects, or seeing where the bumps might be in the road that maybe preclude us from doing something. So that's kind of what I've been thinking about at a high level, the way I would see it starting out anyway.
Thank you. Thanks. Cindy, Paul?
I don't have anything.
I had the pleasure of working with Mike on this project and in other capacities, and fully satisfied with knowing everything I need to know about him.
Probably too much.
Yeah, I'll kind of echo your comments. Served with Mike on school committee and AFRAC and many other efforts. Appreciate you putting yourself forward again, and we'll take it under advisement. and
Thank you.
let you know.
All right.
Any questions for the planning board?
Sorry, Mr. Scott. Sorry, Mr. Scott.
Maybe they should be invited to sit up in front.
Another county heard from, sure, come on.
They ought to be up front.
The planning board would support this candidate this time.
Okay. Thank you.
I feel even better than I did a minute ago.
Kind of cut to the
Be
chase.
gone with you. All right, next up, I'd ask Linda Gianetta to come forward.
He's not
I'm
gonna-
sorry, that's right. Just wants a letter today.
Sent, written comments.
Yeah, so, everybody had an opportunity to read that? Should I read it into the record, or? You good?
Want to summarize her background for the, or read a piece of it or whatever? You want me to do that? Yeah. All right. I'm just reading from Linda's letter to the board, which is a public record. She's been an active member of the Littleton Country Gardeners for 9 years, civics chairperson for the past 4 years, designed and implemented the revival of the landscape at the town offices, along with the Country Gardeners President's Garden on the Common. That's the garden facing Meeting House Road. She also was a member of the Legacy Committee, subcommittee of the Littleton 300th. And on that, designed and implemented the park area at the Clock, and she worked on has been working on designing a new Veterans Memorial plantings at the Depot, 300 King Street, Mannion Place, Welcome to Littleton Garden, etc. And she has been a member of the Littleton Common Committee and attended most of the master plan charrettes.
Thank you, Ms. Levy. Any comments from the planning board?
None at this time.
Relative to Ms. Janet?
I did question her.
Mail her a letter.
All right, next up, Anna Houston, please.
Hello.
Hello. Thanks for coming out. You're on deck. Same pitch, just a little bit about yourself and why you want to be on the master
Sure.
plan.
Well, thank you all for having us this evening. So my name is Anna Houston, and I've lived in Littleton for almost 1 year. Since living here, I have tried to become involved and get to know a little bit more about the town, which is part of how I came to know about the Master Plan Update Steering Committee. And so I was very interested and then applied and was appointed to the committee, and I really enjoyed being a part of it for the last 5 months that the committee was in place. And I think because it allowed me to really get to have a broad view of the town. And so the reason why I would like to be able to continue on the implementation committee is because I have a lot to offer the town and service to the town, and that's based off of my experiences and my background. I have a lot of experience not only in strategy, which was very helpful to creating the plan, but also in implementation. Having owned a small business and having been in various organizations in their marketing and operations, I feel like I have a lot of experience on implementing. As well as I am very motivated. I attended all of the meetings from the steering committee, and then also very persistent. So being able to get things done does require persistence and passion as well.
Excellent. Any comments from the board of selectmen?
Probably just the same question I asked before. What do you see as the process and the priorities that are coming up?
Well, I think, I was just joking with Mike that he covered off in a lot. So I think I would concur with a lot of what he said. However, there's such a huge people component to this. Having heard some commentary about previous master plans perhaps not being fully implemented, but being able to really have, as with the last process, broad communication, I think is going to be very important, not just externally, but also internally. I think for each of the various boards, committees, to be able to be involved in understanding what it is that each of them has to do in terms of their own role to making sure that the master plan gets implemented, because every single one of them has some form or part within the implementation of the plan.
Thank you. Sure, go ahead.
Just be remiss not to mention that I also had the pleasure of serving with Anna since she came to town, and was very impressed with the work that she put in the committee, and also the perspective she brings of someone who was very civically involved in Colorado before coming here. So it's kind of nice to get a particularly newcomer's perspective in addition to the various other inputs.
Right. I was just going to ask you what you thought some of the challenges were facing this committee, but you already answered that question in your last response, so I don't have any more questions for you, but thank you.
Thanks, Cindy.
Planning board, have any questions?
Thank you to the chair and chair. Worked with Anna for the 2 years or year and a half that she was with it. Very articulate, intelligent, pleasure to work with, and the planning board would like to accept her as one of the members.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you stepping up.
One last question. You really know what you're getting in for?
Through the chair, of course.
You know, as long as there can be occasional gatherings at the pub, I'll be fine.
She's a true
Chance social gathering. Chance social gathering. Mr. LaCroix. Gary LaCroix.
Evening. So my name is Gary LaCroix, Mill Road. I was on the Master Plan Update Steering Committee for the full term. I also was active on the committee to select the contractor we used. I bring to the position, I've been with the Corps of Engineers as a manager for a number of years, as a civil engineer. So I have about 30 years of experience there, and I see this as a project, and you have a number of steps and tasks associated with it, and I see the challenge is the fact that this doesn't exist now. And so the first few months is going to be figuring out just where to start. And there's been an effort made in the implementation plan, like Mike mentioned, to talk about what are the long poles in the tent, and what are the things that are the hardest things. And you got to pick some easy things, I think, that you can show progress and kind of the low-hanging fruit. And then there's some other things that you want to start that takes longer, and balance some of those things. So that kind of perspective is what I think I'd like to bring to the board, is to some real pragmatic elements to this. And I really appreciated being on this committee. I did the Master Plan Update Steering Committee, the first time I've been on any real town committee of like this. And it was a good experience. The group was a really good piece, really good people to work with. And the opportunity to, I wanted to make a difference and bring some talents that I thought I had to the committee, and I think I did help in that respect and get us to where we got with this product. And so I don't want this to sit on a shelf. That was one of my spiels the first day, was to have a document that sits on a shelf and collects dust. And so I see this as a chance to bring some of my talents to keep the ball moving.
Thank you. Do you want to ask your same question?
No, he
Kind of.
I anticipated
I just didn't know if you...
In fairness, I have to say the exact same thing. It was a pleasure working with Gary, and et cetera, et cetera. He brought, his particular skill set, I think, was very valuable to the committee in particular, and took his work seriously, and we benefited from that.
Thank you.
Cindy, you good?
Good.
All right. Planning board, any comments or questions? Don't go anywhere, Gary.
Mr. Chair, the planning board would support this applicant's nomination to the Master Plan Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
It was a pleasure working with him also. And are you sure you know what you're getting?
You're not on this one, are you?
No, I'm not.
Wow, you might have just picked up a couple of votes, Gary.
Don't worry, Chair.
Thank you.
I think Gary would quit if I got on.
Next up, I'd ask Mr. Leibowitz to come forward. Jonathan Leibowitz, please. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hi. Well, I see. I mean, first of all, of course, I come from this as a member of the Historical Commission. I've been on that for 6 years, I think, now. But also, I attended most of the charrettes and things like that that the group had, and I see a lot of
different possibilities here, and mostly my interest would be in seeing that all the, there's a lot of, there's conservation, there's development, there's historic preservation. I would like to see all these things be brought together well. I mean, I think that's a crucial thing for this project, is that we have a lot of different interests, and it's really important to see that they all work together. I mean, most obviously immediately in regard to everybody says very importantly, the common area, and there's, in the common area, all of these come into play. How you incorporate them all together, I think, is one of the crucial things, and that's what I would like to be particularly involved in and work on. Okay. Thank you. Gentlemen? Lady?
Question?
You good with your question? Yep. Planning board, any comments, questions?
In the middle of pulling the board, we're trying to listen in. Give me one moment, Chair.
Yeah, so Ed, I think we're gonna take a vote like at the end.
Right, I just want to make sure that.
Okay, no questions, all right.
No comment.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Leibowitz.
Thank you.
Thank you for stepping forward. Next up, I would ask Michael Zeldin, come forward, please. Mr. Zeldin? Should have said something before Mr. Leibowitz headed back to his chair. Avoid a collision. Good evening.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming. Same thing, just a little bit about yourself and why you
Well, lucky for me, I have 2 years' experience on the steering committee for the master plan, and I joined the others who were former members. It was a incredibly rich and useful learning experience. I came away from that particular assignment and wanted to continue serving the town because I really like the town, and as a result of meeting so many of the residents that it would take me years to meet, I've come to a better understanding of how to listen, what to listen for, and more importantly, what may or may not be possible. If anything, I came away from appreciation the books that my former colleagues were carrying in here. A great deal of that is devoted to the inventory, which is very prosaic stuff, but it's the core of where Littleton is, and it shows our strengths, and as long as we stay within our strengths, I think we have a fairly good chance of achieving some of actually carrying through and implementing quite literally many of the components that are contained within the proposed plan. I am most concerned about unintended consequences. And what I mean by that is that rather than, I joined Mike in his perspective about looking at this from a particular point of view, and that is, I'm most concerned about looking at this piecemeal. I'd like to see more than what we'll call common integration. I'd like to basically look at this as a plan over time, and an implementation over time, a work over time. Certain things can be done more quickly than others, agreeable, but they're not necessarily the foundation for the town. Some things that are foundational may take longer and should be done before the easier things. What those things may be is determined by resources, both human and financial. And for this reason, given my background of over 20 years of starting companies in biotech and IT, the law of unintended consequences plays a very significant role in doing something. The minute you start something, the world changes. Personnel, resources, the unexpected. There's a lot that impacts this town that's outside the control of the town. The marketplace for housing, how much we can do in regard to the Commonwealth. These and other external forces work heavily on Littleton and the way we approach what we do. So when we lead from strength, we have to lead with the talent we have here in town, which is considerable, about thinking through, both at the residential level, at the government level, and at the administration level. So one of the reasons, the main reason I want to join, if I can, the implementation committee, because this is where the work really can get done. And I hope the planning board and I hope the Board of Selectmen play a very active role. And I hope we can also engage the Financial Committee, the FinCom, because achieving many of our goals will require more than casual coordination. That's it.
Thanks, appreciate it, Mike. Questions or comments?
No questions.
He answered. Good process.
No questions, but once again, Mike's someone I've enjoyed serving with, but I'll say,
Paul, do be original.
I was just about to. Mike, when he interrupted me. His provocative and insightful thinking are invaluable to the committee, and I especially hope Mike has a role in the implementation of this.
Thank you. Planning board, have any questions or comments for Mr. Zeldin?
Appreciate Mr. Zeldin's time on the implementation committee, the master steering committee, and look forward to taking the vote so we can support hopefully all the candidates that applied.
Thank you, Mr. Zeldin. All right, so we have 6 applicants, 5 positions.
At least 5.
At least 5 positions from the applicants that were received, with the addition of Mr. Glavy for the...
Well, I'm just saying, even our own definitions.
I'm sorry, at least 5 positions. My bad. Do you want to have that conversation? Mark, go ahead. Sorry.
I think we should take the Pop Warner approach to this. Everybody should play.
Weigh in?
We got 6 people that
Gotta do a
applied
weigh-in?
for it. Well, no, I can't make the weight anymore. But we got 6 people that applied for it. Why don't we just expand it to have 6 active members on the board with a member from the Selectmen and a member from the planning board? If you have 6 people who wanted to do it, what's one more person? I think 6 is just as good a number as 5.
I would agree.
You don't have to vote on it, just let everybody know.
I agree.
I mean, these are all great folks, and the way the math works would be ostracizing one. That's just not right.
So it's either Pop Warner or Schoolyard.
Yeah.
Let everybody play.
That does leave the question of terms.
True.
When
It's like a 3-year term, so you can, when you, I think you need to assign
Yeah,
who gets 3, who gets 2, and who gets a 1-year term.
Right.
But that's arbitrary. We can just pick that.
You just do it.
Yeah, you pick it out of a hat.
You can do 3-2-1, 3-2-1, I should read the names.
Right.
I'd venture to say the people that if you don't mind, that there's,
For one
yeah,
gentleman.
the ones who are on the implementation committee should possibly have the longest term assigned to them at the beginning.
Mr. LaCroix actually requested that he be on for a 1-year term. So that helps our...
Easy to satisfy.
So be it. Any further conversation about whether or not we approve all 6?
Any of this is going to require motions, but the working assumption here is that we're looking at the 6 of them there, 2 3-year, 2 2-year, and 2 1-year terms. And then the selectmen and the planning board appointments are probably part of the year-to-year thing, right?
All right, so I think we've got a consensus on this. So I'll...
Anyone want to make it easy for us and volunteer for 1 or 2 years so we don't have to rank you?
Mr.
I don't
Fontenot?
mind, I'll be whatever anybody wants.
Just put me in, coach.
Sounds like a 1-year term.
Always a good sport, and I'm nominating Jonathan for a 1-year term.
I'm fine. I'm not going
Fine with a
anywhere.
1-year or a 2-year.
Mike wants 3.
Mike wants 3.
Mr. Zeldin, do you have a preference? All right, how about we do this? This is just kind of random. Mr. Fontella expressed an interest in a 3-year term, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, 2 2s. So,
Mr. Chairman, sorry.
yes, Mr. Zeldin.
If it's still open, I'll do the 3, I'll put the 3 to see what else happens.
You prefer to be on the 3-year?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So, Mr. Fontanella and Mr. Zeldin, 3-year terms, okay with everybody? And I would say maybe Mr. LaCroix and Ms. Gianetta, the 1-year terms. So that would leave Ms. Houston and Mr. Leibowitz with 2-year terms. Does that work for everybody? Matt, can you do that math? For what years they are? 18, 19,
got
20?
it. Got it.
So I will entertain a motion, and this is for all of us to vote on, I believe, correct?
I don't know, do you need to do a roll call vote on that, if it's two boards, Keith, or not?
I believe so.
No, you could just do a
Okay.
show of hands.
All right, but there are 9 eligible voters, because you got 4 members here tonight, right? You looking for a blanket vote?
Yeah,
I
we're
think
looking
we
for
do
a
it as
motion for the
I think we
slate.
do it as a slate with,
I move that the Board of Selectmen and Planning Board vote to appoint
the slate.
the slate Master Plan Implementation Committee members for the term specified in the slate, expiring June 30th of their respective years,
As well as myself and Mr. Mullen.
as well as Mr. Glavy and Mr.
It's not you now?
He got me.
Oh, Mark, I'm Mr.
Oh, okay.
Montanari.
Oh,
All
I
right.
thought I heard- I thought I
Let's-
heard-
You got me.
Let's salvage the whole thing here.
You want to amend that motion?
Anyone want to recount?
Hasn't been seconded.
Second. All right, so it's moved and seconded. So we're going to vote together.
All those in favor?
All those in favor, raise your hand.
Appreciate you.
Any opposed? All right, it's unanimous. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Thank the planning board, thank all the candidates. Appreciate everybody.
Mr. Chair, if we may, Conscom's got their meeting at 7:30. Do you think it would be possible to jump them ahead so we can get them moving?
Yeah, I don't see a problem with that. Anybody have a problem with that? Why do they have an opening? Is that? Two openings, right?
Just one now. Yeah, we filled,
And
you filled one last.
some
All right,
appointments,
so-
reappointments to consider as well.
Right, Sarah, too. Hi, Sarah.
So, if those folks who are here for conservation would come forward, please.
And for letting us cut the line,
So, yeah, Anna,
and Sarah.
Robert, Sarah,
So
Julie.
2 reappointments.
Correct. So, Anna and Sarah have put in for reappointment. And we've got one position that Chase has expired, or
Expired.
short term.
The term is expired. Unexpired.
Expires in
Actually, it's
2018.
an unexpired term.
So, do we want to take them as reappointments, or? Yeah, any objection to that? Not at all.
Well, Sarah's a little.
Second longest standing.
No, anybody have a problem with no experience?
We're doing one at a time.
Sarah and Anna being put up as
Oh,
reappointments?
you know, we're good.
So we know what we've got, they've been on Conscom for expiring terms, looking for reappointment.
How many years, Sarah? I was on the board when we first appointed you.
It's a while. I stopped counting.
The previous life.
Do you have any comments or anything you'd like to say before we take a vote?
We're good.
Any questions of the candidates?
No.
Entertain a motion for the reappointments?
I move that the board, I'm sorry,
Go ahead,
Mr.
that's fine.
Monacci. Move that the Board of Selectmen vote to appoint Anna Mayer and Sarah Seward to terms on the Conservation Commission for terms expiring June 30th. Are these both ending the same year? 2020? Is that right, Keith? Yeah, 2020.
Second that.
Moved and seconded, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, unanimous, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good meeting. I'll try to get you, we can't get you anybody real quick, can we? All right, now
Sarah,
we're,
before you go upstairs, has Conservation considered the 2 open applicant?
There's one, and Anna, Amy can address that, there's one applicant that has not been received or reviewed by you all, that you would be interested in chatting with.
Okay.
so Conscom would be interested in chatting with one of the candidates. So you've
Correct.
met with Mr. McLaughlin?
Yes, correct,
You haven't met with Ms. Rupp?
correct.
And you prefer to do that prior to making a decision?
We would like to, yes.
Okay.
Maybe they can go meet with her right now?
Yeah, we're open to that this evening, if you would like to meet with her, or vice versa, have her come up with us. Whatever works, we'd love to get that done
They've got a
tonight.
posted meeting,
They
right?
have a posted meeting.
Yep. Whatever works for you.
She's in the building.
Either one's fine.
So do you want to just go up, have them do it right now? We can move on with the other business we have before us, and you guys can back down, we'll fit you in when you come back down?
That's great.
Does that work?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, you've already been interviewed, right? So we can, you're in front of us right now, so we'll do your interview right now, if that's Okay with the board? All right, Mr. McLaughlin, if you're comfortable there, that's fine, or you can come up here close to the microphone. Yeah, that's great. All right. So just like before, if you just tell us a little bit about yourself and why it is that you'd like to be considered for Conservation Commission.
Well, because I've been interested in the environment all my life. Went to college for a bachelor's in wildlife management. And I've worked off and on in different things, and right now I'm working teaching children about the environment. Really very interested in the town, so I think it's a pretty important position.
Agreed. Okay.
If I may, since I was on ConsCom when we first met with you, you take a second and just detail one of the programs that you've done with the young children. I think that the board would be interested to hear a little bit of your expertise there.
Well, right, I'm working for the Infant Toddler Children's Center in Acton. And I started off there as a teacher, and I've been there about 2 years and decided they really needed a nature program. It started off 1 day a week, and now I'm just exclusively teaching kids about nature 4 mornings a week. And it's an awful lot of fun.
Thank you. Mr. Knox, any
No,
comments?
not right now.
Step?
No, I don't have any.
I'm just curious, I noticed that on your resume application, there's a reference to Rob's Gardens. Do you have an active gardening business too, or?
Yeah, I grow a lot of perennials on my little quarter of an acre and sell them at a farmer's market. Mostly for fun. Just to, I really concentrate on native plants, and I like to get them into people's gardens.
Good.
So I'm sure that you've researched what ConsCom, what their charge is and what they do. What is it about your experience and your background that makes you feel as though you're qualified for this position?
Well, if I got your question correctly, because I'm kind of hard of hearing too.
Okay.
I got a lot to learn, but I've got a background that, well, like I sat through a meeting and really pretty much understood what was going on, but a lot of the technical stuff I probably couldn't figure out on my own without some added study in it. And also there's some very qualified people on the board now that could, I think, lead the way nicely.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions?
No.
Do you have any questions of us?
I guess not.
Okay.
So you have attended Conservation Commission meetings, so you're, so
Yeah,
you're
I've
understanding their workload and
seen
what
they
they
work
do.
awful hard.
You hear that? See?
Yeah,
I didn't say all of them.
that's why Chase ditched it to come here. Yeah, instead.
So now I can kick my feet up.
All right.
All right. So are we?
We'll just hold off until we have the other interview, I guess, right?
We're gonna hold off on making a decision until Ms. Rupp's able to come down and we can interview her as well, and we'll make a decision based on
Right.
the two of you as candidates.
Okay.
And, make an appointment before the night's over, so you're welcome to stay, listen to us grill other people, but,
I gotta go home and get
We're
ready for
watching
the
home.
kids tomorrow.
there you go, yeah, okay.
But thank you very much.
Thank you, appreciate you stepping forward.
What channel are we on at home?
All right, so, a little bit wonka-jawed here, right? So, at this time, I'd open it up for public input. Anybody like to be heard? All right, keeping us on schedule, appreciate it. How about member updates? Chase, you got anything?
Start with me?
Sure.
Okay. Two things. One, I guess last week Anthony and I attended a financial seminar put on by Department of Local Services, which was excellent. And as soon as they provide, maybe you've gotten it and I haven't, the various presentations that they put together, certainly distribute that to the board because it was an excellent set of presentations. one of the big takeaways for me there is that there are a lot of policies that they recommend. Not necessarily all are right, I think, for a community of our size, but one of the things that I would be interested in maybe asking Anthony and Keith to do is put together that list. What is the list of policies that they recommend? Everything from a debt policy to an infrastructure policy and things like that, so that we can at least take a look at what the best practices might be and understand what might or might not work for us. There might be things that we want to pursue.
I don't know if you got a copy of our most recent, we do have a financial policies, which we didn't do much revision on in the past year, but prior to that, we put a lot of time into it. And
Yeah, those were just examples
Yeah.
of sets of policies that they've recommended, and I think some of them we don't necessarily, maybe we don't necessarily need.
No. My point was just the opposite. I mean, amen to what you're saying. We are not finished with that process. It's ongoing. So any input toward that end is more than welcome. And hopefully FinCom and Selectmen will get back on doing more on that this year.
Yeah, copying the input of others is not a bad thing.
No.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's right. Let's steal the best work of other people and go forward. So we'll distribute that as soon as it becomes available, that presentation. And then the other thing with Cindy and Paul, we were able to attend the volunteers for the Council on Aging luncheon, and they had, what was it, Cindy, 105 volunteers with over 50 hours?
Right, it's amazing.
Contributed.
Mhm.
And Pamela and Barb made a point of noting that other communities have fewer number of people who contribute a smaller number of hours. So, I mean, we're talking 5,000 hours sort of are contributing to volunteer efforts there. So it was eye-opening, the number of hours that people put in.
Pretty cool community that way. Thank you. Hold on 1 second, Joe, if you would.
Yeah, I think on your agenda at 7:15 was also reappointment to the Historical Commission.
Yeah, we haven't done
No,
that.
we've got a whole
We're
bunch of
behind
them.
schedule.
Okay.
Thanks a lot for pointing it out, though. It's all on me. Mr. Knox.
Just two things quickly. Congratulations to the class of 2017. It was a great graduation. Was a great ceremony. The speeches were right on by both superintendent of the schools and the principals and the students that spoke. It was well done. And today I want to congratulate the girls softball team who won their second playoff game today, 5-0 in the rain. For those that braved them to be there to watch, and now they're on to a game on Saturday in Central Mass Championship.
That's awesome.
That's excellent.
All the high school sports teams are in some level of playoffs.
Yeah, and I couldn't find out how the lacrosse team and the baseball team, I didn't know where they stand right now.
Yeah, so they both won Thursday, and moving on to the next games, I think tomorrow. I'm not certain of that.
The cross plays today.
Is it today?
Yeah.
Okay. Against GD?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
in
right.
Concord.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's all good stuff, the class of 2017 especially. It's very good. Mr. Glavy?
Well, another great event that fortunately did not occur in the rain was the Memorial Day Parade, and a wonderful address by our chairman, and also we were led by a corporal from town, a corporal of the United States Marine Corps, who was our Grand Marshal. I forget his name, was Mr. Long, was it? Locke. Sorry. But he was, he set a good pace for us, and it's worth noting that while other obligations kept Chase out of town, you already have a legacy in those orange spray-painted culvert tops, which kept us all from tripping. That was your idea, and it's a good one, and I actually look out for them as I'm driving through
I hope
town.
it's also preventing a flat tire.
Well, yeah, that too. Yeah, so thank you.
That's funny.
Napoli.
I agree. I just wanted to mention the Memorial Day Parade too, and thank everybody that organized that event. That was really, it was nice to actually walk the route, be a part of the parade as opposed to a spectator. I did attend, the veterans held a barbecue after the parade at the VFW, which was really fun to attend that and get to speak with them. I sat with John Borowski, our veterans agent, and Hal Baker. and we discussed the Veterans Corner project on the Common, and that is going to move forward now. We had a meeting on Sunday about it to discuss where it stood. A lot of people feel that nothing has been going on with that project, but in fact, a lot of activity has been taking place on that project, thanks in large part by John, who's been working very, very hard. It's a daunting task, I must say. I see his spreadsheets with all the information that he's obtained for our veterans to make sure that they're included within the memorial. So they have met, we met on Sunday to discuss a plan to move the project forward. There is a meeting at the VFW tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Any veterans are welcome to attend. Any family members of veterans are welcome to attend. They're going to discuss where the project stands now and the plan to move it forward. There were some questions about who is eligible to be part of the Veterans Corner, and they did amend some of the requirements, or one of the requirements. I just wanted to read them here in case anybody's listening or interested. So, to be part of the Veterans Corner, an individual who served in any branch of the military from the start of the Vietnam War to the present is eligible. They must have received an honorable discharge for his or her service. They must have been a resident of the town of Littleton at the date of entry or date of discharge from the military, and/or, this is the change that they made that many people aren't aware of, any individual who was a resident of Littleton at least 4 years prior to the date of his or her graduation from any public or private high school. So that was the one clause that they added so that a lot more local veterans can be included in the project. And so, again, if anyone has anybody that they know wants to be included in the project, feel free to reach out to John directly, or feel free to stop by the VFW tomorrow night, again at 7, where they will be doing a presentation on this meeting. There is going to be a Facebook page created regarding the project as well to keep people up to date. The targeted completion date for the project is Veterans Day, November 2018. So they're serious about finally moving this forward and getting this project completed. So I'm really excited about that and glad to be part of it.
Great, thanks. All right, well, the sports and the graduation were kind of my thunder, but Memorial Day Parade was a great time. Cindy, thank you for all that extra effort. Visiting with the veterans at the barbecue. I wasn't able to attend it this year, but I've been to it in the past, and it's good to get together with those folks. And John does a phenomenal job for us as our veterans agent, and I mentioned that on Memorial Day at the address up at the cemetery, it's tireless, and people don't understand how much effort and time he puts in, but he's truly a great resident, great volunteer, and he's a great advocate for our veterans.
Absolutely.
All right, so 7:15. Town boards.
No, you got Board of Health, right?
Board of Health is item 4A. We kind of had to juggle a few things around. We're on to item 4A, which is our Board of Health vacancy. We received a letter of resignation from Mr. Yap. And as such, we are, pursuant to Mass General Law, we can appoint his replacement until the next annual election. So.
Joint appointment.
Joint appointment with the Board of Health and the Board of Selectmen. Did I murder that well, or did I make it okay?
That's right, that the Board of Health has provided the selectmen with notice of that vacancy, which under the statute entitles them to join you in making a joint appointment.
So we post for, is it 4 weeks?
4 weeks is the practice, so that we would be able to, we've submitted an ad for the newspaper, it'll be published this Friday. We can post a notice tomorrow, and it's proposed that you have a joint meeting as part of your next regular meeting on, your first meeting in July, on July 10th.
Okay. So, any comments from members of the Board of Health? Okay. So in order for us to move forward, we do need to take a vote.
Move the Board of Selectmen vote pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 41, Section 11, to receive the notice thereunder given by the remainder members of the Board of Health of the vacancy on said board created by the resignation of member Peter Yap effective June 1st, 2017. And further, to give notice to said remaining members of the Board of Selectmen shall convene a joint meeting with the intent to fill said vacancy through May 2018 annual town election by joint appointment to be made on Monday, July 10th, 2017 at 7:15, and further to invite qualified registered voters of the town of Littleton to apply for said appointment and to be interviewed at said joint meeting.
Second. Moved and seconded. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye. Did you get this
Unanimous?
signature? Did I get a signature from Chuck for that?
I was going to do the same thing.
That's all right. Oh, you got one too? Yeah. Sign them both.
Anybody else?
We wanted to make sure it was covered.
That's right. Great minds think alike. He gets it first.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Yours counts.
Thank you. Excellent. All right, so I've moved, that's unanimous. So on July 10th, we will do kind of the same process and look to appoint jointly with the Board of Health. All right, so back to 4B, which was annual town appointments. First up, we've got the AgCom, Agricultural Commission. It's two members, position for term expiring in 6/30/2018 and 6/30/2020. And we've got one applicant. And so, Mr. Pickard, yeah, for reappointment, I believe, right?
Right.
Welcome. Appreciate you coming out. Anything you have to say to us about your reappointment, or I don't think we have any questions for you. You've been there for a while, and
Appreciate the opportunity to be reappointed to AgCom.
okay. Any questions, comments, thoughts?
No.
Good.
These two folks represent the greatest hope we have of preserving
Exactly.
farming in this town right now, and so stay healthy.
It's like a Dos Equis commercial. Stay healthy, my friend. All right, so your term would expire 2020, I believe, right? 2020? Yeah, 2020.
And how, the rolling vacancy, I guess just a rolling
So let's,
opening?
if we could vote on
Sure,
Mr. Pickett, then I have some comments to make relative
Maybe
to that
maybe the
appointment.
members of the commission might have a...
Yep. So I'm kind of motion for Mr. Pickard.
Move the Board of Selectmen vote to appoint Will Pickard to a term on the Agricultural Commission, let's see,
2020.
for a term expiring June 30th, 2020? For a 3-year term.
Motion's made.
Second.
Seconded. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you. Just while you're both here, I know that there was another applicant that came before us who owns a farm in town. If we could just have just a little bit of a conversation around what the decision on whether or not that person is eligible, is not eligible.
Yeah,
relative to.
in 2012, the town meeting approved the Agricultural Commission bylaw, which is silent on whether you have to be a town resident or not to be in the committee. However, in 2014, the town meeting adopted a general bylaw that applies to all boards that are either established by town meeting or by statute, which does require Littleton residency. So that would apply, since AgCom was established by town meeting, the Littleton residency requirement would apply to the Agricultural Commission until such time as that is revisited. That, you know, but it would take let's say if you wanted to allow a local business person who resides in another community to be on the Agricultural Commission, as the bylaws are written right now, you'd have to amend the bylaw to allow for that. But it's certainly something that you could discuss and could bring, if you wanted to, you could bring that change to the future town meeting.
But it's not something we could do.
It's not something you can act on tonight.
Right.
And you couldn't, and you cannot appoint a non-resident until such time as the bylaws change.
Do you guys have any other prospective candidates?
Is there a change afoot at the state level? God bless you. Relative to residency? No?
Not aware of one.
Okay.
No.
Do you have any input or thoughts or opinions on where we're at as far as the appointment of the candidate that had to remove the, Tommy Jensen, was the candidate's name? Or Jamie, either one of you, it doesn't, I'm not putting you on the spot, Will, you don't have to answer.
Gina Cruz, Vice Chair of the Agricultural Commission. Tommy Jensen operates an equine facility here in Littleton. Currently, one of the portions of the agricultural industry that's missing from the AgCom. We have quite a few equine facilities here in Littleton. While I guess we had chatted about this, and the board, the Agricultural Commission had put forward the recommendation for both Will and Tommy. Tommy's been frequenting our AgCom meetings. It is probably something that the town of Littleton needs to look into. We do have a lot of small plot farms, folks that aren't residing in Littleton that are actively involved in the ag community, and a lot of our equine folks that are running facilities here don't live here. And I think it's a very important piece to have at the table. There are several communities around Littleton that are in similar situations and have voted to put farm members on their town board that do not reside in their own town. So it's more common than you would believe. So I guess we were unaware of the bylaw that passed in 2014. And I think that the AgCom's probably going to carry out a conversation. Tommy has been a great asset in conversations, and we would love to have her on our board.
I suppose the earliest opportunity to amend the bylaw would be the fall town meeting, but in the interim, we got a vacancy. I guess it's our obligation to appoint if there's applicants, but I would encourage you guys to find another candidate in the short term.
It's to our knowledge that there is another applicant on file. We have not met with her. We haven't seen her in any AgCom meetings. So I guess
Did we get an application?
there seems to be 3 on record.
We didn't get it.
You did not see one.
No, we just have Will. We just have Wills.
Am I hallucinating? Did you see 3? You, Tommy, and
It's fiddle hits, too many fiddle hits.
All right, well, disregard then. At this time, I guess we don't have anybody else.
All right, well.
If I may.
Yeah, sure.
Question for you guys. Would it make it easier to fill that vacancy if Christine was characterized as the farmer? Does she meet that definition running the Littleton Community Farm, thereby opening up an at-large seat as opposed to a farmer seat? It's not necessarily something that I expect an answer from right now, but if we're having trouble filling a vacancy, what can we do to encourage that?
I think at this point, probably we can go ahead and put out some more feelers and find out if there's anybody else interested. I guess that's an option. But we thought we had our bases covered, and
Have you tried the other equine, the other horse farms in
Yeah,
town?
we've been trying for quite a while.
Harmony Stables, he's a local, right, Dennis?
And they've been into some of our meetings in the past. We were pretty excited to have Tommy put an application forward.
No offense to you, no.
I would say that we can work on doing an amendment, Keith. I'd like to try to bring that forward specific to AgCom for this purpose, so that we will have that available to us, so that we could potentially make an appointment.
And in the meantime,
Tommy, in the meantime, I guess, I guess
Thank
put
you.
it back to you guys to do some more recruiting.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, appreciate your input. All right, so after AgCom, we come to the Bike and Pedestrian Advisory Committee, correct?
no, we don't.
Conscom?
Council on Aging, right?
I missed feedback if we have feedback.
So, yeah, it's fine.
Oh, right.
Apologize for that, we probably shouldn't have had you up there. You're much too polite over there, you could have squawked,
You have 5 minutes until
Thank you.
public hearing. So you might tell them ahead of time, we'll have to take that.
Yeah, all right. Next up, we do have Council on Aging. I will say that at 8 o'clock, we do have to open a public hearing, so we're gonna probably interrupt and at least open that meeting.
Let our chair talk then.
All right, so we've got 4 positions with term expirations of 6/30/2020, 1 position with term expiration of 6/30/2018. No?
Oh, all right, positions, okay. You have 2 reappointments and new board members.
Right. Right.
Okay. Could I speak to you about?
Yes, please do.
New, Marge Payne, current chair of the Council on Aging. And do you want me to?
I think they can hear you upstairs.
I think
you're
so.
fine.
I'm happy to report to you that we have a problem, but it's a wonderful problem to have. Because we have 2 vacancies for new appointments, and we have 4 applicants.
Are any of them farmers?
I was sitting there thinking about that, but not to my knowledge. I don't know, we don't know 2 of the applicants, and one of the applications just came in last Friday. We haven't had time to be able to deal with, meeting with the applicants for the new, to fill the vacancies. The reappointment people are here, and that part of it is not an issue, but we are respectfully requesting that you might give us another week so that we could meet with these people and get to know them. We feel it's important that all 4 applicants be treated fairly, and we don't know them.
Okay.
So
all
we
right.
cannot make a recommendation to you tonight because we have not had the
So we
opportunity.
could potentially go through the process of doing some interviews. If the folks are here, we could do some interviews with you present.
Well, the whole board's not present.
Okay.
I would take,
I'll take the wisdom from Mr. Knox
Yeah.
and see what he has to say.
Yes.
no, I would take the suggestion of the chairman and allow them to
The opportunity to do the
meet,
interviews
interview
themselves
with
and give us
them,
recommendations.
so they know who they are and
We
so
have
forth.
a great interview process that we've developed, and
Okay.
in order to treat people fairly.
But will a week
And-
be enough time for you to meet with those folks? I mean, if you
Yes,
haven't,
we have a board meeting next Monday, so
Yes.
it's fine.
but that's when we meet next
Yeah,
too.
but we have our meeting next Monday night.
Yeah, but we could have our letters to you
We
before
could
then.
be
You got your
present to
recommendations?
give you the recommendations Monday night. I mean, certainly we would be here, or
We
I would
meet
be
at
here at
1:30 in the
least.
afternoon.
Oh,
Meet in the
that's right.
afternoon.
Yeah, the
We're gonna
meeting's
get a
at-
schedule like yours, yeah.
Like that, huh?
Would we still like to take up the reappointments tonight?
That would be a
Yeah.
wise, just get them out of the way.
If you could do that in
You said that.
No, we
Where's my
don't.
gavel?
Get those reappointments done. We need to keep those folks. So-
Are they certain that the applicants are going to be able to meet with them on Monday at your
Yes.
meeting?
Yeah.
They've
It'll
already
be-
confirmed they
it'll
can be
on our
there?
agendas.
We'll
Yeah,
make
but we don't
sure.
know their
Are
availability.
they able
Their
to be available?
availability.
Well, they're available, I don't know that for sure.
Well,
But we will
how
do
many of
our
them,
best.
maybe some of them are here tonight, and I assume.
That's what I'm thinking.
I can meet with you next Monday at 1:30.
Okay, there's one.
Austin's accommodated.
Maureen,
Thank you.
there's
I told
2.
you where
You got 2.
No, Andy's, Andy can too. Okay.
Let's see,
Right.
Susan Dunn's a reappointment, right, okay.
Well, you don't want to talk to me. Susan Dunn, Crane Road.
Yep, yep. And Jean and Bob are reappointments. Who else?
And
Kathy?
Kathleen is not here tonight.
Why don't we do
She's
the,
not a reappointment, she's a new.
Right,
New
right,
candidate.
yeah.
Yeah.
let's do the reappointments right now,
Go
because
ahead.
Yep.
Yeah. we're gonna
And
be
that,
talking
then
about the
you stick to your schedule that way. See if you give us a little extra help
We
here.
can go home.
When are you up for reappointment, Marge?
No, I think you reappointed me last year,
I
so
know.
I'm good for a couple more years.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to reappoint those who are up for reappointment.
There's 3 of them, correct?
Yep.
good.
Okay, then I'll make a motion that the Board of Selectmen vote to appoint Susan Dunn, Janet Jean Johnson, and Robert Stetson to terms on the Council on Aging for terms expiring June 30th, 2020? 2020.
Second that motion.
All those in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Unanimous.
Yay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And
That was easy.
we schedule the remainder for next Monday night, right? That's the plan?
Correct.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate your
Unless you
support and
wanted to
help.
interview them yourself now.
I didn't even get a
So they
chance
don't
to come
have
up
to
and
come
mow and grow.
Yes, so
Liquor hearing
for those candidates, we do have to open a public hearing right now, but if you're willing to stay, we can interview you right now. We can get their recommendation in writing, just so so you don't have to come back next Monday night.
That would be great.
Okay, that's clear.
She's ready for
All right, so
board.
we've got,
And this next item won't take long, I don't think.
you got it? All right, Mr. Knox is gonna open our hearing.
Okay, legal notice, Board of Selectmen public hearing, application for the transfer of an all-alcohol package store license from Littleton Liquors Incorporated to J.M. Littleton Incorporated at 340 Constitution Avenue. Littleton Board of Health will Littleton Board of Selectmen will conduct a public hearing on Monday, June 5th, 2017, at 8:00 p.m. in the Littleton Town Offices Room 103, 37 Shattuck Street, Littleton, Mass. 01460, to act on the application under Mass General Law, Chapter 138, Section 15, for the transfer of an all-alcohol package store license for the premises at 340 Constitution Avenue, Unit B11, Littleton, Mass., also known as 495 Great Road, from Littleton Liquors LLC, Samuel E. Park, license manager, to J.M. Littleton Incorporated, Caitlin Silver, proposed license manager. A copy of the application is available at the Board of Selectmen Town Administrator's Office at 37 Shattuck Street, Littleton, Mass. Comments thereon may be submitted in writing to the Selectmen in the Town Administrator's Office by noon on Friday, June 2nd, or in person at the hearing. Littleton Board of Health, Charles DeCoste, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Knox. So the hearing is open. And I think this is going to go relatively quickly, so let's go ahead. Attorney Alphen?
For the record, I'm Paul Alphen. I represent the applicant. The applicants are with me. It's a family business. It's Joe Silver, his wife Mary Silver, their daughter Caitlin Silver is the proposed manager. As you know, in January, you voted to vote to approve the transfer of the liquor license to The Point. This is the second step in that process where this license would be transferred to JM Littleton, Inc. And as you saw from, if you went through the voluminous package, there is an agreement for the purchase of the liquor license from Littleton Liquors, LLC, and there is a lease with the owner of that portion of the shopping center, the same building in which the Market Basket is located. And so if this license transfer would be approved by the board and then ultimately by the ABCC, the license would then go to them, the license that you had issued to Littleton Liquors. And in the interest of time, I assume you've gone through the 127 pages of materials, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
On page 80, no.
Yeah.
Police
That's the one with the drawing?
Yeah, police department went through it, and deputy
Actually,
has
the
indicated.
chief and the deputy are here?
Chief here, too.
There was no issues with the background.
Thanks, Deputy. Any other issues relative to the police department? Fire department? Good. Any other,
No other.
from boards, departments? Okay, good. Questions, comments from board members?
I think it's pretty straightforward.
I would be interested, since they're new applicants, just to have a little bit about your background and introduce yourselves to the town.
My name is Joe Silva. I'm been in the business for 18 years. We currently own 5 other locations. This will be our sixth. My daughter, Caitlin, she's been working with us since she was 18, part-time while she's going to school. And my wife, Mary, is also involved in the business. She's got involved in the business in the last 2 years. And my son's still in high school.
Stay out of this. At least you're 18.
Yourselves or any of the other employees have tips training and the...
We are all tip certified. In all my locations, all the employees are tip certified.
Terrific.
Go to get retrained every 2 years. It expires. But it's one of the things that's mandatory for us.
Good.
All of our employees are tip certified.
All right.
Where are the locations?
We have One Stop Liquors in Tewksbury. We have a store in North Reading, Leominster, Mass., Bedford, Mass., and Concord, Mass.
Comments?
Keep the public or anything.
Yeah, open up. Is there anybody from the public that would like, have any comments, questions through the chair? It's a public hearing. Mr. Mano, no? Entertain a motion.
Move the Board of Selectmen vote pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 138, Section 15, to approve the application of the Mass General Law 138, Section 15, for the transfer of an all-alcohol package store license for the premises at 340 Constitution Avenue, Unit B11, Littleton, Mass., also known as 495 Great Road, from Littleton Liquors LLC, Samuel Park, license manager, to J.M. Littleton Incorporated, Caitlin Silver, proposed license manager.
I would second that with the understanding that you, Mr. Knox, intended to say we closed the hearing and then make the motion, right? Yes.
I heard him.
Yeah, close here. I moved to close. Did you second it?
Yeah, I second it.
Okay.
All's good, close the hearing?
Yep.
All, we have a second on the motion, as read?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? It's unanimous.
Thank you very much.
Good town, good luck.
Thank you.
You do good work, Counselor.
It was tough.
Heavy lifting. All right, so let's go back to the Council on the Aging. Just on aging, not the aging. Right.
Every day that we live, we age.
That's right.
All of us do.
Exactly.
All right, so, did we lost?
Maybe she misunderstood.
Yeah, well, I didn't say it until after the fact, so, should.
So we have 2 or 3 here.
All right, so we've got
Maureen's here.
Maureen's here, we lost Deb.
Ross, Deb. All right, so, do you want to come forward? If you're comfortable staying there, that's fine.
Fine, okay, sure.
All right, so, just introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself and why you would like to be on the COA.
All right, well, so I'm Maureen Donnelly. I live in Littleton. I have lived in Littleton since 1960, which, if you do the math, makes me old. It makes me qualified for the Council of Aging. But recently, I have become more active in attending different things in the Council of Aging, and I see how much they really do to help the community. And I have been involved in another organization that does community service for well over 40 years now, and I just would like the opportunity to be able to give back to the community that has given us so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You have a background in nursing, although you're retired now?
I do. I am retired.
Okay.
After 42 years, you get to retire.
Okay.
It takes a lot out of your body. It really does. Do you have any
I'm
questions?
going to start down this end. Do you have any questions? Or?
I really don't, no.
Okay.
You referenced another organization that you've been.
I belong to the Emblem Club, which is a national charitable organization. We work on community service, Americanism, drug awareness, literacy. And so I've been involved in that. I've been involved at the local levels. I've been a state president, and I've been on the national level. So community service is kind of in my blood.
Thank you.
Nothing right now.
Okay. All right, so, thank you for
You're
coming
welcome.
forward. Thank you for coming out.
You're
So you don't have to come next Monday night. Good luck next,
You're welcome.
next Monday afternoon. We're a tough crowd, so good luck.
Evidently, we're hard, evidently.
You actually, you referenced something that, I apologize, I didn't say this during member updates. One of the things I wanted to do as an update was, former Chairman Hebert and Mr. Carr were tasked with putting together a public service announcement. We're tasked with opioid awareness and drug awareness, and they had done a lot of work on that, and they worked with police and fire departments and with LCTV and put together a PSA. This is a PSA that is complete. They brought in a dad who has recently buried his son from an overdose. And I would just say that keep your eyes open. This is going to be running. Has it started running yet? I don't believe it has. I think it's going to start next week. It's going to be running soon. So, Alan, next week? Yeah, so this PSA will be running next week, folks. So take a look at it. These are our public safety folks that are put a lot of time and effort into it. Again, Melissa and Jim put a lot of time and effort into it, and this dad tells a story from the heart. It's actually a guy I went to high school with and played ball with, and his son was a dean student Dean's List student at Worcester State and kind of went off the rails and happened pretty fast. So to get an opportunity, don't make an opportunity to sit down with any young ones you know. It doesn't have to be young ones either. There's been a number of deaths that have happened within our community, and I think starting with awareness is really important, and we'll be staying on top of that, and it's just the beginning of our chapter, working together with public safety to make the public aware and try to put resources forward. So I apologize, kind of out of order again, but Susan?
Susan reappointed.
All right, so Andre Fredette? Yeah. If you could come forward, please.
I was wondering where you were going with that all of a sudden.
I'm sorry, I just, I had it written down and I,
Good evening. My name is Andy Fredette, 48-year town resident. I'm here at the urging of 3 or 4 members of the board. It's twisted my arm to get me to sign up. So,
oh, you're a tough crowd.
Huh?
You're a tough crowd.
Yeah, yeah. I had a bit of a crisis this year, and I went to the COA and got help, and took advantage of their recommendations and so forth, and, spent a year here, and now it's my turn to give back if,
Okay.
yeah, so.
Good. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Appreciate you coming forward. Any questions or comments? Rick?
Known Mr. Fredette a long time, and happy to see him stepping forward.
Yep. Thank you. Yep.
Anything else? Good luck next Monday at your
Okay.
interview.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
Thanks. You're welcome to come next Monday night, but you don't have to come next Monday night.
It's not that far.
Yeah. All right,
I
so,
think I got that from Deb that she had to leave, but she said she's already made arrangements for an interview, so.
okay. Is that it? 4 candidates?
Is there someone else? No? Oh, Kathy Nolet
She
is
can't,
not
she couldn't be
here.
here tonight.
Okay. Robert, we took care of. FinCom. So we've got,
Got a late breaking report from the Conservation Commission. Andrew Steps back. Andrew?
you do, from him?
He just,
He tried-
they've just recommended
A candidate?
Julie.
We'll review her after FinCom, and then we'll make a decision. Mr. Wilson, we've got one position. This is a position appointed by the Board of Selectmen with a term expiration of June 30th, 2020. Mr. Gary Wilson is here before us for reappointment to FinCom. How you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
Tell us a little about yourself and you're looking to be reappointed?
I am, working with the board over the last year, filling Mr. Glavy's.
Big shoes to fill, Gary, but fine job.
We have a great, diverse board with a lot of different ideas, and I think we work well together. We're all passionate about the financial health of Littleton and the sustainable health of Littleton financially. So a lot of big, as we sit back here, we hear a lot of the big changes, big ideas, I guess, coming our way with the master plan. So how do we keep Littleton financially healthy is a big part of that. And I think we have some, as a group, we have some great ideas, and they're not always easy. I think myself, if we look at the town meeting, with the Williams property is a good example. I kind of thought that it was a difficult decision financially for the town to make with a lot of variables. However, from a resident's point of view, I am so happy that we have the piece of property. So it's kind of weighing that dynamic of what's responsible by letting the town know what the financial risks are. And then if the town still votes, obviously, for it, then so be it. So I'm not shy about making tough decisions or kind of going against the tide a little bit if I truly feel it's right. And I look forward to continuing to serve. Like I mentioned last year at my reappointment, and I know we have 2 new board members, so I might not have been here. Long history of financial management through the federal government, which I still work with the Department of State, Bureau of Consular Affairs, but also military active duty and then a military service for 23 years. Retired last year, so I had some time on my hands, and that's why I wanted to jump into something that I'm familiar with. And it coincided greatly with your election. So I look forward to continuing to serve.
Thank you. Any questions or comments, Mr. Wilson?
I don't have any.
I think he fit in terrific, and I would just be curious if the FinCom member behind him feels the same way. You want him around for another year?
I think the Board of Selectmen made the right decision a year ago, and I recommend that you redo it.
All right, thank you, Alan.
Thank you, Mr. McRae.
Al, that's what you said a minute ago.
If I could,
Absolutely.
I just want to point out that it seems like the FinCom is working much better since you've been there, Mr. Glavy's left. But one of the comments that you did make, I really like this, sometimes when you're in public office, sometimes you have to make those choices that you will think are right, even though you probably want to see it go through. It happens with the FinCom, it happens with all boards, and some people don't understand how hard that is sometimes, that to say, I think this is the right course the town should take, but I'm really in favor of what's going on. I love to hear that, because it
Well,
happens.
I think if from that comes a learning experience and maybe a change in how we do things, then it's worth it. So just voting against it sometimes isn't what I'm after. It's more of there's a change that I'd hopefully like to see in place. And with that particular thing, I think Mr. Glavy and I had mentioned putting together a group that works a little bit more with conservation, so we know kind of what's down the road, and just to help us make a better financial decision for the town, and to help you guys make decisions as well.
Yeah.
I didn't mean just that one subject.
No, absolutely. Oh, you're right.
I will say that I have heard from some folks, and this is not down the same road you were going, but you're very proactive about going out and talking to the folks at DPW and talking to the folks at school committee. I know that with FinCom and school committee and FinCom Board of Selectmen, sometimes we have tough conversations, and I know that Mr. Fontanella respects you and works with you well, and I've heard comments from Chris and from the folks at DPW that appreciate you coming out and asking the questions and getting the facts.
Yeah, it's all about relationships, so.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate that.
And you live in Littleton, right? That's a plus.
I do. Lifelong resident, really.
You got a lot of land.
The service kind of took me out.
Is it a farm? Wilson Farm?
2.9 acres is gonna cut it.
Just doesn't cut it? You got a barn.
I do.
All right, I'll entertain a motion for Mr. Wilson's reappointment.
Move that the Board of Selectmen vote to appoint Gary Wilson to a term on the FinCom for a term expiring on June 30th, 2020.
Second.
Moving second, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Unanimous. Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow night.
Just get reappointed.
We'll just stay
Just to go to Diane again, right?
Yes.
So, Gary, I didn't mention this to the other folks that we did appointments. You still have to go to the clerk's office and get sworn in, re-sworn in. So anybody that is watching or anybody that has been appointed tonight, please make sure that you do that. And you will have to go through an ethics training, and there is blood test. All right. Julie, do you mind coming up? Ms. Rupp went upstairs and just got interviewed by Conscom. She's the second candidate that we had before us for Conscom. And if you could guys hold back through your packets. So Julie, if you don't mind, just kind of telling us who you are and a little bit about yourself and why you want to be on Conscom.
Sure. I'm Julie Ruff. I've lived in Littleton for about 6 years. I'm an environmental geologist by profession and education. A decent chunk of my work actually involves wetlands and wetlands permitting, so I feel that I have the technical background I've been on the other side of the table from Conscom, representing other clients. So I feel that my technical knowledge, as well as just having had that experience, will help, would be a good contribution for Conscom, to help them process things and just be a productive member of the team. I also like serving our town. So this kind of is a good mix. as far as.
For your skill set and experience. Great. Any questions?
What do you think are some of the challenges for CONSCOM?
For CONSCOM? Sometimes, you have to implement the permit, and, sometimes that's not what the homeowner wants. So, I think, I've had clients who want to do something, or, and so sometimes there can be some back and forth, and it's, listening to people and, trying to come to a consensus that, hopefully makes the most people happy, while still implementing, the permit and the bylaws.
Thank you.
I don't have any questions, although I'm very impressed with Julie's resume. I think she's a perfect fit for the board. I also think that the town's had a good chance to see what our contributions can be from your work on the Alumni Field Committee last year with Chairman and others, and I think you're a force for positive activity here in town, and I'd be happy to have you on board.
Lady? Greg?
Specifically sought Julie out, hoping that she would apply for the position I vacated on CONSCOM. I think she brings a technical expertise and a demeanor that CONSCOM will benefit from in both ways. I will abstain from the vote. I specifically sought Julie out to fill that seat, so I would rather leave it to the wisdom of the four of you to vote on that selection. But I strongly support it.
I don't think it's necessary, but if you feel more comfortable doing so.
No, I appreciate that. I agree. I don't think it's strictly necessary, but I'd rather.
Gee, that's a hell of an endorsement.
Mr. Knox, do you have any comments, questions?
Judging by your qualifications, you're a perfect fit. The part I like too is that you went from one committee and you didn't shy away from jumping right back in. I'd love to see people no, in all seriousness, sometimes someone serves in the committee.
Never see him again.
Never see him again. And I just think it's great that you want to serve the town again, so I think you're really qualified, so.
Yeah, so I had, probably not to the same extent that Chase did, but I mentioned CONSCOM to Julie and
Oh, yeah, no,
Rufus.
no.
See if I was gonna pass muster, but served with Julie on AFRAC, and you were a great asset, and I appreciated working with you, and all the nice things that Paul said about the people on the Master Plan Update Steering Committee, I feel the same way, and I do think you'd serve us well on CONSCOM. Whether Chase votes for you or not. So, we've got two candidates for Conservation Commission. We've got Mr. McLaughlin and Ms. Rupp.
I'll make a motion that the Board of Selectmen vote to appoint Julia Rupp to a term on the Conservation Commission for a term expiring June 30th, 2018.
Second. Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions?
So, worth noting, Mr. McLaughlin was a fine candidate, too.
Absolutely. So you do need to go see Diane Croy to get sworn in,
Okay.
same as
Yep.
for AFRAC. You've done the ethics
Once or
training, so
twice.
you.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, appreciate it. Thanks for stepping forward. All right, we did COA.
Historical.
All right, thank you. FinCom,
We didn't forget,
Historical Commission.
we didn't forget you, Linda.
Historical.
Historical.
History. Seniors and history, right?
All right, so we have before us, we've got two positions to be filled with term expiration on 6/30/2020, one position with a term expiration on 6/30/2018. This is up for reappointment.
Jonathan and Linda are up for reappointment to 3-year terms.
Right, Jonathan's here. Come on up. Yeah, why not?
Jonathan, come on up.
All right, so the two of you are up for reappointment, and do you have any questions of us? Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourselves, or?
Did our other applicants drop out, too? or-
No. Gabrielle's in the back.
Oh, okay, all right. How many positions are up?
So there's
One other position.
Okay, all right.
We're filling in a resignation, and there's two of us for reappointment.
Gotcha, all right, thank you.
Rachel. Rachel's here as well, Rachel Robinson. So we've got,
Okay.
we've got 4 candidates for 2 positions of expiration of 2020, which in essence would be reappointments, should we choose. And there's 1 position to fill an expired term for 18.
Gotcha.
So is it the pleasure of the board to do the reappointments of the 2 currently sitting candidates, or do you want to
No
interview
problem with that,
all the folks?
happy with both of them.
Any thoughts on that, Chase?
Let's do appointments first.
Okay, let's do reappointments then. Entertain that motion?
Move that the Board of Selectmen vote to appoint Linda Stein and Jonathan Leibowitz to terms on the Historical Commission for terms expiring June 30th, 2020.
Second. So moving seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Unanimous?
That
Thank
was
you very
tough,
much.
huh?
Didn't even ask us.
You have to get sworn in. Okay, so, actually, if Gabrielle and Rachel, you mind coming down for? What's that? One of you want to go first, or?
Hello, I'm Rachel Robinson. I am a recent resident of Littleton, moved here almost 3 years ago.
Excuse me, Rachel.
We have not had a chance to interview these people. We have our meeting on Wednesday, and we'd be happy to do that at that point. But we haven't met with them.
Okay,
just for
I
the
appreciate
record.
that, so we'll go through the interviewing process and probably do something similar to what we did with the COA. If that's, I'd rather have you guys, you're here, you've been patient and waited for us, so let's go through this process. And sorry, Rachel.
Excuse me, I was.
Yeah, I was taking a bullet for you there.
We invite you up here, Jonathan, you say nothing, and then when you sit back in the audience.
Okay, we're good, it's all yours now. Promise.
So anyway, moved here about 3 years ago. I am an archaeologist by training, and education, master's degree in archaeology, and I've worked in several museums. And so my motivation for joining the commission is that obviously I have a significant background in archaeology and really care about history, and I'd like to become more a part of the town. I've just recently joined CONSCOM, but this is a little bit more directly related to my background. I'm very excited about CONSCOM, but this is a little bit more my thing. So that's my big motivation. I've got a lot of ideas for the historical committee. So I've been to the historical center and gone around there, and I really like it. And I'd like to hopefully usher in some new modern things for that. So that's a big reason that I'd like to join.
If I can jump in, specifically, is there anything that you'd like to introduce? You said new modern things?
Sure. Well, my specialty, my expertise is digitization of artifacts and specifically photographs. So I worked for 3 years at the Northeast Document Conservation Center as a digital photographer, doing just that. And currently I work at the MIT Museum, and I'm an associate curator there.
Thank you. Cindy, any questions?
None. I like your enthusiasm on your application. You want to become involved. I love that. Just plain and simple. And obviously your background and your education fits the wheelhouse for someone on the Historical Commission. So I appreciate you coming forward and submitting your name. I think it's great.
Oh, I think your resume and your presentation suggest you would be a wonderful addition to this committee. My only concern is that if you just got appointed to the Conservation Commission too, I don't know, at some point you might find it being, too much or
Sure,
whatever.
no, I understand, and that's something I certainly thought about. Yeah,
I don't consider it a disqualifier, it's just something to talk
Right,
about.
I mean,
yeah.
I guess I'm not gonna know until I try.
Okay, that's a fair and honest answer.
That is a similar concern, but that's... Mr. Knox, any questions, comments?
You said you were here for 3 years?
I moved here 3 years ago.
Where did you used to live?
We rented in Boxborough for 3 years and lived in Boston before that, and so, first-time homeowner.
Yes. Okay, that's all I have.
Joe approves of that, yeah.
Chase, any questions, comments?
Having met Rachel at CONSCOM, I don't think I have a lot of questions. I do very much appreciate her enthusiasm. I do share the rest of the board's concern with balancing things. But if you are so inclined, I'm not going to hold that against you, I guess, in your application.
I guess the only other comment I have is if we were not to appoint you tonight and you have that, I can't pronounce the word, digitization?
Digitization, yep.
I tend to make words up. But if you weren't appointed, there's certainly the opportunity for you to be involved and do the digitization, and Mr. Leibowitz will grab your number off the public packet. Find you at a CONSCOM meeting. No, I think those...
We certainly have people who work with us very regularly who are not members of the commission, and some of them do as much, if not more, than people on the commission themselves. So, yes.
And there's always the Historic Society, too, which we probably shouldn't lose sight of. You people work with.
We work very closely with them also.
Right, okay.
Do you have any questions of us?
No.
Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate you stepping forward, and thanks for serving. Gabrielle?
Good evening,
Good
gentlemen,
evening.
madam. So,
Little introduction, who you are and why you're interested in...
my name is Gabrielle Eidenwild. I am, background is interesting. I'm kind of, lots of different small careers, lots of interests, myriad interests, which led me to the Historical Commission, actually by accident one day. And then I love their work and I love what they're doing. I'm a recent resident to Littleton, only been here for 2 years this month. But one of the things I love about this community so far is just how involved people are. When they're involved, they're involved. And I really kind of want to be part of that very much. I think it's important too, in order to figure out where Littleton's going and understand really where it came from, especially Mr. Leibowitz was talking about working with the Master Plan and Implementation Committee, and I think that's crucial to figure out where the common came from and how we can kind of, not even retroactively fit it back, but see where those unintended consequences were that kind of made it go a little bit wonky, and maybe we can get it back to where the vision that the town seems to have. That's an important pet project for me. I don't know if the Historical Commission would even be interested, but this is just an idea. I have a lot of ideas, and I have an interest in, as well as working with the Agricultural Committee to look at and preserve and celebrate the heirloom species and varieties that are part of Littleton's agricultural history and Neshoba Valley. There's so much here, both in people and plants and animals, that it just kind of, it'd be nice to have that more publicly visible. I feel like there's a lot of awesome stuff here that is kind of hidden under the surface, and I'd like to see it be a little bit more visible.
Excellent. Thank you. Jason, comments, questions of Gabrielle?
I note in your application, you include cultural, historical, and ag comps.
Yeah, and then I started thinking about I'm not even a market gardener going
So
ag
you don't have a
comms. I was
farm?
way over my head, so I was like, whoops, never mind.
But no, I take that as an earnest interest in serving, and I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mr. Knox?
Going with Mr. Chase was talking about too, the Cultural Commission, I'd love to have your interest stay with that, because we have a Cultural Commission that we don't hear from very much. Every once in a while, they'll have a program that's 5:30 in the afternoon, and we know nothing about it, so I just hope your interest stays there, too.
That's actually my primary interest. I've emailed Chuck a laundry list of projects I would like to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but that's next week's
Okay.
meeting.
Other than that, I don't have anything.
All right. Mr. Levy?
I'm just intrigued what all those various careers might be that you allude to, but, don't.
I have a minor in art history. I'm a working artist right now.
You have terrific handwriting, that's.
Oh, why, thank you. I usually call it chicken scratch. So.
No, this is chicken scratch.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and you have a degree in technical theater and design?
Correct. Yeah. And then, right, yeah, I also have a half a degree in public administration and mental health counseling, and I'm looking at manual trigger point therapy as my next career. So, with allied health. So, yeah, I'm a bit bouncy.
No problem here.
So we met Election Day. You stopped by my booth, and we had a nice talk. You make jewelry, right?
Partially. I make jewelry, I do paintings. My main claim to fame is I turn NASA photographs into tapestries.
Okay. I just remember your enthusiasm, and we spoke about the Cultural Commission, so, and it's obvious through your application that you're still, that's where your passion really is, it seems to be. I was just wondering, and I appreciate your enthusiasm for listing down three commissions. I think that's great, and I love to see new faces to town that want to be involved. It's been really great, especially this evening, to see all of this enthusiasm. I was wondering you elaborate more on the Cultural Commission piece of it, but what about the Historical Commission? What do you think you could bring to that?
The Historical Commission, I have a strong research background.
Okay.
And being able to, and also I'm really interested in bridging and collaborating between committees and pieces and parts of the community that may not necessarily be talking to each other, like looking at using like the Littleton Community Farm and doing historical programs there that focus on the agricultural history of Littleton, or working with doing a presentation at the library about like the history of the common and helping the community understand like where did it come from, what did it look like. We're romanticizing what the common looked like, so what did it actually look like? Is it just a question?
You could ask Joe.
Ouch.
Sorry, it was out there. It was just hanging in front of me.
It was a softball.
I think it's also important to, I think it's also really important to use research and that we understand what we want the town to look like in the future in terms of architectural styles. I mean, I know that's not like solely the purview of the Historical Commission,
Right.
but like the surveys that they told us about in the meeting, it made perfect sense that figuring out what the majority of the architecture is, what needs to be preserved, what maybe can be let go, but still little pieces of it kept.
Right.
It's important to know, again, as cliched and hokey as it is, it's important to know where we were to figure out kind of where we were going.
Right, right.
But also in a big picture kind of way, not just siloed.
Right.
Kind of breaking this down is really important.
Right. I like that you're looking at it from a different point of view, bringing a different component to it. That's great.
So you just something else?
I'm just going to say, I'm
Just a
glad
breath.
the Historic Commission has volunteered to do interviews on Wednesday and kind of allows us to.
And give us a recommendation.
Take a pass on this one?
Well, and also the applicants have helped us, and Cindy alluded to this, by showing interest in a variety of committees. It makes our job of trying to give everybody who wants to be involved a place to be involved, and that's what we have to sort out.
Right. as you alluded to, we've spoken a couple times, and I told you flat out, don't ever feel like you're inundating my inbox. I'd love to have it, and that's, you know, that's what it's all about, man, just idea sharing, and to Cindy's point, you know, some of your perspective, looking at things differently, and just fresh ideas, and the fact that some of these folks are here, whether you get appointed to the Historical Commission or not, these folks are picking up some of the ideas, and you know, I'm sure they'll reach out, and the same point that I made to Rachel, there's still an opportunity, if you weren't appointed to Historical, to do some stuff with them. Just like everybody said, your enthusiasm, you know, we've spoken a few times, we met at a charrette, and just, you know, I enjoyed speaking with you and your husband, and love the fact that you guys are new to town, and you're just diving right in, and you want to get involved. And I know that we're going to find a place for you. It's a matter of whether or not we find two places for you. So appreciate you coming out.
Thank you very much.
And stepping forward. And good luck at your interview with, hopefully you can accommodate these folks and meet with them.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. All right, good. All right, LCTV is up next, the advisory committee. We've got two positions with a term expiring in 6/30/2020. Mr. McCray is up for reappointment, and Mr. Sill, he's not on the calendar, right?
David Sill's up for
It's
reappointment.
reappointment? Yeah, I'm sorry.
You don't even have any opposition, and you take nothing for granted, Alan. You came out anyway, huh?
Hey, it's a good show. Joe, you didn't need to take that one.
No, but I do remember some of the things in the comments.
All right, Mr.
We
McCray,
intend
thanks
to
for coming.
continue to fight the good fight. And we didn't pull the plug on you, so
I appreciate that.
things are going well.
Yeah, we got a 7-second delay, so it's, Chris is up in the booth, ready to hit the button.
Things are going well. More and more programming, and yeah.
Doing a lot of good things where I can, believers in local access TV out of folks over in Boxborough, because we provide services to them also on a contract basis. And, you know, Mark has been around here for a long, long time. Kirby Dolak is doing a terrific job. Kirby fits in real well. So we're pleased. We've got a nice group of folks.
Good contractors, yeah, good team.
They all seem to be part of the family, so it's good.
It is good.
And we hope it stays that way.
Right. Yeah, I don't see any reason. There's no additional questions?
No, I mean,
comments?
one thing to note is Cindy and I, having just come off the election, LCTV did a great job with the interviews with individual candidates and the candidate forum. And really, I think, brought a lot of value to the voters in that process, so.
Well, glad you enjoyed
Nice.
the process.
Well, I did say I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was valuable to the voters.
You misunderstood.
It seemed to work in any event.
Or didn't, I don't know, it depends on your
I put
perspective.
a positive spin on everything.
Everything?
Most everything.
All right, I will entertain a motion to reappoint Mr. Sill and Mr. McCray.
I'll move that the Board of Selectmen vote to appoint Alan McCray and David Sill to terms on the Littleton Cable Television Advisory Committee for terms expiring June 30th, 2020.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alan.
Appreciate all you do, Alan.
See you tomorrow night, too.
Yeah.
Finance Committee.
Go get sworn in. All right, ZBA.
Jeff's here.
And Kitty, too.
Jillian's here.
And John, too.
Jillian Shaw.
Julian, everyone else at school.
Hello, everybody. I'm up for reappointment, and I was trying to think about when I first joined the ZBA. Joe was on the ZBA. It was 8 years ago, 9 years ago.
Longer than that.
Anyway,
It's a while ago.
a while ago. I've been very gratified to serve on it, and I would like to continue to serve on it.
Okay. So Jeff is up for reappointment. For a term that will expire in 2020. We'll ask, any comments or questions, Mr. Yates?
Wisdom, technical expertise, and stability. Happy to have you stay around.
I'm currently serving as vice chair.
Because I don't know your background, would you mind to tell me a little bit
I'm
more
an
about your
architect.
professional background?
I'm an architect. I work residential architecture primarily, not much in Littleton. Although I recently did the Kimball Farm Water Resource Recovery Facility, which is like the septic treatment plant, which happens to be in Littleton. And most of my practice is in Wellesley, Newton, Brookline, Concord. So I have occasionally, since I've also, I did my Kimball's house on top of Star Hill, and I'm doing another house on Star Hill, but that's pretty much the extent of the work I do in Littleton.
Okay.
I just want to say, having seen Mr. Yates work and worked with him in the past, that board's a special board because you have to be able to read into gray areas that you can't, it's not just black and white.
A couple of things you guys have set up, during the meeting is, it struck a nerve with me, or it struck a chord. And someone made the point about, well, sometimes as a citizen you support, you want something to happen that as a board member you can't. That happens quite a bit on the Board of Appeals. Our decisions have to be legally defensible. And it's in the interest of the town to make it so, because otherwise you incur a lot of expense with legal fees, but also a lot of, sometimes we have real disputes. Disputes between the building commissioner and someone who he's, ruled against, or we've had disputes between neighbors that you just wouldn't want to ever have to deal with. But for the most part, we try to find a way to get people to where they want to go, and taking into account their neighbors' concerns, the town concerns, and we try to work hard to, to accommodate people. And I guess the big thing we've had in the past is the 40Bs, which hopefully we won't have to deal with, at least on a non-friendly basis, for a few years.
A whole bunch of years.
Well, you never know.
Any other comments or questions?
No.
Board? Ms. Gould, do you have any comments or questions about the reappointment of Mr. Yates?
Our board couldn't survive without Mr. Yates. He's very, very important, and he brings an awful lot of experience to the board as someone who has presented before other boards in other towns. So we love him.
And I have also. I go before other boards in other towns quite frequently, and it's always interesting to compare notes about how things go.
Thank you. Is this how I want to proceed? Want to go with the reappointment and then
Sure.
do the interviews for the others?
Okay.
Move the Board of Selectmen vote to appoint Jeffrey Yates to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a term ending June 30th, 2020. Is it?
Second.
Those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you.
I'll go get sworn.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
All right. So, we'll go alphabetical, okay? Okay.
This is nice. We got 3 people for 3 vacancies. So the pressure is off.
Good evening. My name is Kitty O'Connor. I live on Luann Street. I'm a recent transplant to Littleton. My husband and I moved here coming up on 4 years now. Mr. Knox was the first person we met. It was very, very good. It was good.
That means we can blame
They
Joe.
stayed.
Well, they stayed, and he got us interested, both of us, by full disclosure, my husband's Michael Zeldin. He got us interested in town goings-on, so we have leapt in. By way of background, I'm an attorney. I have a very active estate planning elder law practice in Acton. I've been there for 15 years. Prior to living in Littleton, we lived in Cambridge since 1997, or I did anyway. So when we moved out here, I was very interested in getting involved in the town. So I am currently the treasurer for the 2nd year of the Littleton Country Gardeners. And I also have worked with the Council on Aging because that's part of my professional practice. So I've done some presentations for them, worked with Pam, had a number of conversations, offered some seminars, et cetera. So why am I interested in the Zoning Board of Appeals? In no small part because I want to give to my community and throw my hat in the ring. And I think I bring a lot of professional experience and expertise to the position. But also I've been living with the Master Plan Committee via my husband and other people that I know.
Literally, figuratively.
Been living with it.
We've been living with him through the same process, so.
But it's been fascinating. It's been very fascinating, and I've really enjoyed it. I've enjoyed the process, even though I wasn't directly participating, but I went to the charrettes. I've talked to a number of the members of the committees, and part of what intrigues me about the Zoning Board of Appeals is that it's sort of, to me, a complementary group to what the master plan is looking to achieve down the road. And I think that there's a way to have an overlap, communication with those new developments that might be coming down through the implementation committee and other avenues that are explored because of the work that the master plan committee has done. So that's why I'm interested in serving on it. And again, as an attorney, I think I don't have real estate except to sell real estate through my work. I do represent clients to sell the real estate, estates, people who have need to go into a nursing home and the family needs to sell the house, et cetera. And in terms of work on a board, I do have significant experience. When I first became an attorney in Massachusetts, I served on the Women's Bar Association board for a number of years, the Women's Bar Foundation board for a number of years, and I was eventually the president of the Women's Bar Association. So that's a lot of personalities to manage. They did great work, and they're still doing good work, but haven't been there for a few years. I did my work there. So that's it.
Perfect. Thank you. Any comments or questions?
I think your experience and background would make you a great asset to the Board of Appeals.
I'm delighted that Kitty's stepping forward. I know you're a one-car family, so I don't know how you're going to do it with both you and Michael on committees, but
Luckily, you live close by.
yeah. I think it's also, just independent of the individual candidates, worth pointing out that the alternate positions we're considering now are actually very important on the Board of Appeals, and in the case of what protracted hearings, if somebody's not able to make it, the alternates do have a voting position, and that's usually where we draw our full membership from. Am I get that correct, Madam Chair? Or?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, Mr. Levy, and the board always polls the entire board, all alternates too,
Right.
to get a real good cross-section of opinion on how we should decide something. So I didn't know she was applying. I'm looking forward to having you join us.
Yeah.
I'll give you a ride home.
But the anticipation is full participation from the alternates too. Great.
Mr. Knox, any comments?
Just, as Mr. Yates said, there's a lot of intriguing subjects that the ZBA goes through and a lot of disputes. I mean, at all the boards you'd want to try to participate in, why is it the ZBA?
Again, I think that there's an interesting cross-section, and as an attorney, I'm kind of used to disputes. I do a small amount of litigation, and I have a 100% success rate in none of it ever going to actual trial, settled everything. So some people may think that, doesn't give me the trial experience, but on the other hand, I also have happy clients, relatively speaking. But there's a lot of family issues that come up in the practice area that I'm in, both in probate administration, in estate planning, in elder law. And so there's a lot of disputes among family members that I'm called upon to help navigate, negotiate, and help people get through to the other side. And it's not dissimilar to neighbors having issues. In fact, I have clients that come to me with problems with neighbors, or they need to evict somebody, or they come to me and I deal with them holistically. And so I refer those out, but nevertheless, These are disputes that have to be resolved. They have to be resolved fairly and equitably, as Mr. Yates said, within the law, and you want to be very careful about applying the law so that you are looked at as being fair and equitable, and it's not a political process. And I think, given my extensive legal background, that I can bring that kind of objectivity to the process and to the decision-making.
If I could just move the statement. All right, fine. Thanks. There were two different times I served on the Board of Appeals, and never once was I a permanent member. I was always an alternate. But I thought it's one of the best boards. I want to thank Shari for it. As an alternate, I always found it was very easy to speak up any time on any subject, and I love the idea of polling the board, too. It always happened, so it wasn't like being an alternate that you sat out there and you never were heard from. I loved it that you're always able to participate.
Mr. Gerby. Last in line here, I feel like most of my questions have been answered. Thank you, Kitty, for
Very welcome.
coming in and answering all of these. I appreciate it.
All right, so, I don't have any further questions for you. Thanks for coming out, and we'll bring Ms. Shaw up. Jillian, if you could introduce yourself. And
So I am Jillian Shaw, and I've been a resident for over 10 years now. I'm here tonight for the same reason that you folks are here and that people tonight came, is that here to, I think it's important to be an active member in your community. Currently, I serve on the Littleton Youth Football and Cheer. I also am on the fundraising committee for the Alumni Field facility. So I bring to the table 10 years residential construction and 5 years commercial. So although I'm not formally educated, and my background is biology, and I'm currently a business owner, I have spent the last 15 years. So originally I was the visual director for the paper store. So I oversaw all of their builds at the time, which was 13 stores. And then for the last 10 years, we've owned a family construction company. So I probably spend more time on a construction site than I'd like to. I may not always be welcome since I like to make changes, but although not formally educated in it, I do have a lot of experience in it and have been on the other side of the zoning board of appeals, so I understand that, but I feel like I bring a lot to the table, and that's why I'm here tonight.
Thanks, Julie. I'll start with you, so you don't have.
I'm always interested in people's stories. How did you get from biology to what you're doing now?
Yeah, so I wish somebody told me at 18 to go after whatever you love to do and not go wherever you think you're going to make the most money. Massachusetts is a huge biotech area, and I thought, you're 18, you're trying to figure out what you're going to do, and I had an amazing teacher in high school who really gave me a love of biology. Now, that was extremely difficult in college, as all of my roommates were going to school to be liberal arts majors or psych majors, and they're not doing any of that now. But then you get into fields and I think stepping stones along the way where you maybe didn't realize you're supposed to go, but you are. And I am today, I think, a product of the steps that I've taken along the way.
Just the same question I asked before. Is it basically, with all the disputes and all the intriguing different subjects that come up in the Board of Appeals, why would you want to choose to try to be in this board?
Sure. I think, again, being on the other side of it and understanding where people are coming from and knowing what some of the challenges are when you're out on sites, but yet at the same time knowing maybe, what we can and can't do, and helping to move that process along and make those decisions, although difficult they may be.
Thank you. Mr. Glavy.
I'm just noticing what a great diversity we have on the zoning board as it presently is configured, and you would fit in nicely there with the practical construction background that isn't specifically present, but I'm delighted that you're interested.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Jillian, for stepping forward to put your hat in the ring for the ZBA, and I don't have any other questions or comments. I think they were all answered by the other members of the board.
Yeah, so, I think what's that?
John Sewell.
Yeah, so, I'm sorry, you can come forward, John.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
Come that page.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
All right.
So, my name's
Same
John
routine.
Sewell. I'm a long-term Littleton resident. I married a Littletonian. Took her away, but we did end up coming back. And a civil engineer, professional civil engineer. I have 40-some odd years of construction management experience. Many years, many times in front of different boards, and mostly in the town of Bedford, because it's where I worked for 30-some odd years. So it just seemed like an opportunity. I've just retired, and I'm looking for an opportunity to, find some things to do with my time, and actually have some time to do some volunteering. I've done things in town over the years. I was a scout, in scouts for, I don't know, 12, 13 years, whatever it was, as a scout leader. And other things. And full disclosure, we do have chickens and bees and
So you're a
vegetables
farmer?
growing in the yard. Oh, yeah.
Wait a second.
All 3.5 acres.
You're gonna find something, aren't you?
But, yeah.
Thank you.
Clayton?
Any questions?
I don't have any questions.
Well, either he was too humble to put it in his application, or it was so long ago he forgot it, but I remember.
I remember.
You remember about 35 years ago, when I was on the Housing Authority, we were building Patriot Circle. We needed an architect, review board to hire the architects for it, and John was one of our panel for that. So we were all a lot younger then, and it came out very well.
It did. Yeah.
Happy to see you back in the mix.
Okay.
Same questions before, at all the boards with all the different subjects that we have and all the disputes, why would you want to be on the Board of Appeals?
I think it fits my background. I have, I understand a lot of what, most of the ZBA gets a lot of, people complaining they didn't get what they wanted elsewhere. And I've had that, experience of on being on the other side of the table, working for a company where you go to meetings and explain what we want to do and why we want to do it. And it just seems as a good fit for me. And no, I don't want to run a farm.
Not a lot of questions. He's a civil engineer. He's obviously very, very talented.
Is that a given? Licensed civil engineer.
Yeah, great. No,
You good? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Sewell. Sorry for not knowing the alphabet. I need one of those, things with the uppercase and lowercase around the perimeter of the room like I have in kindergarten. All right, so, to your point, we've got the luxury of
Yeah.
having 3 qualified candidates and
this
having
is easy.
three openings.
Yeah,
So I'll entertain a motion.
Move that the Board of Selectmen vote to appoint
3
John
candidates.
Sewell, Jillian Shaw, and Kathleen O'Connor, as it's written here anyway, Kitty, known to those who know her, as alternate members of the Zoning Board of Appeals for terms expiring on June 30th, 2020.
One of them is 2020, the other two are 2018.
Oh, damn.
Just pick one for,
Yeah, well, in that order, the first two, 2018, and this is where the alphabetical stuff gets you, John. You're going to get 2020. You get the extra 2 years on your sentence for that. That would be my motion, anyway.
I'll second that.
All right, been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you all. Appreciate you stepping forward.
And I just said at the selectmen.
You can wait till I'm done. I just want to remind you guys, you have to go up and get sworn in by the town clerk, and there's some other stuff that she'll advise you need to do. Madam Chair.
I just want to thank you very much for getting me some alternates. We've been so long without them that we actually had a hearing this month that we've had to continue 3 times.
Wasn't us, it was Anthony.
Because there were 2 conflicts, and so we haven't had a full board for a long time. Thank you very much.
This is good.
Madam Chair, Mr. Chair, if I may, a quick administrative question. When it comes to voting on a matter, how do you select the alternates that,
The
Are the
5-member board
voting
goes first, and that's by statute. If there's any member missing, we would select an alternate at the beginning of the hearing.
Okay.
What we try to do is, if there's a member missing, there may be 4 hearings, I would have each alternate take a turn,
okay,
and it's random.
Sure.
thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you all very much. That is our appointments for the evening.
That's great. So you've got 2 holdovers,
we still got Alex.
historical and COA.
We still have Alex.
To the next one.
I saw him taking a nap there a
All
little
right,
bit.
so, is there, at this point, do we want to look at maybe tabling something, or?
Well, if you want me to jump ahead of the schedule, the piece that you and I own, the Selectmen goals, we haven't, because of travel schedules, been able to sit down and get together, although and we've got everybody's input, at least Cindy's specifically sent in a second request with some assignments. I don't know if Joe and Chase would just want to stand on your original memo. If you have specific things you want to be involved in, Chuck and I have to sit down and sort that out for, a recommendation to the board.
Well, it became apparent to me that I saved the email to Keith in my draft email. I was looking through this, I said, where's mine? And so at a minimum, I'd at least like to articulate that, or following up on our meeting tonight, I'll actually send that email.
Okay.
Now with the specific, Chris sent, rather than save his draft, the specific items that I would be interested in, but otherwise, we may be able to table it effectively for a week.
Yeah, I don't think
Send
there's
that
much
email this
new
evening.
to offer. We don't have much new to offer on that, no.
So if we could carry that one forward, 6A?
We'll bring that forward next week.
Thank you.
Although
We're
you're
still well ahead of last year's.
Yeah, we sure are, although next week will also be a lot of quality time on interviews.
Yes, we will. Also, I think this can be, it's pretty much just a summation. It's just,
Yeah.
so it's not, I don't think it's going to take a lot of time.
Hopefully it
for us
won't
to
lead to a
do
lot of debate. We'll try to get a memo in advance, and if everybody likes it, fine.
That'd be perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right. Do we want to table Church Meadows for now?
Is there any controversy to it?
I think that I was meaning to bring it forward in March if we had a recommendation from AgCom, but we didn't get one, so I didn't bring it forward, but, I mean, ideally, we'd still like to go through the Agricultural Commission. The leases did expire in November.
Right.
And,
Can I own this? I'd like to
Yeah.
own this. I'll own Nagog Orchard as well. And maybe not at the next meeting, but 2 meetings out, I'll,
Sure.
There was a working group, right, which I think Jimmy used to represent the board on, if you're looking
Yeah,
at
so I'll step in
because
there.
Brad Mitchell was wondering where that stood.
Right, so that's why I can
You want
pick up
to,
from Jim where.
bring it forward in July 10th?
Yes.
Okay, because we can't,
Right.
I
we
would-
won't be able to do anything with it by Friday.
Right.
For
You may
the
wanna talk
next
to Brad.
agenda item, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Just one of the comments I had about that is the $1 lease. I thought there was some conversation around the $1 lease would be for the first 2 years, and then there would be something tied to either market rate or.
We never got that
whatever the
far in the
61
discussion
whatever chapter.
because of the purpose for which, I mean, it's for the foods donated for
Not all of it. No, it's not.
some of it. Yeah.
From the church side it is.
Yeah.
But from the.
I'm glad you're gonna take this on, because I've always wondered, since we bought the property, nothing's ever changed in the property.
Right.
We bought it
It's not
and
maintained.
That's right. Well, the
$450,000.
procedure that, right, the procedure that we'd set up was that an agricultural working group would advise the Board of Selectmen on these agricultural properties, and we haven't been able to get that system to work.
That group hadn't really met much in the past 6 months, right?
It had, I know when Mr. Carr was the contact, there was a lot of efforts to get the group together, and we weren't.
That was the challenges.
And
So-
that, you know, so as a result, I mean, we've got a system that's set up, which right now, I would dare say, is preventing us from actually being able to make decisions on the
Right.
property. So we may want to rethink the system, or reinvigorate it, or do something
Right.
to, and, you know, as the chair says, the chair's taking ownership of it, I think that's probably the first step that'll move it ahead.
You guys good with that?
As long as we know who to blame, that's the place to start.
Thanks.
Right, so we table to July 10th.
Yeah, 7:10. Hopefully Maureen's not watching.
Your anniversary, I think?
No. All right. Regulations and policies, 6B.
If you don't want to have a long discussion about that, I would suggest that you would at least vote to receive the investment. Oh, look, he's still here. Steve didn't tell us that he had someplace to be, because he lives in town, but.
Yeah, but in all fairness, if you do have someplace to be, I know that this is entertaining, and you'd love to be here to watch and listen, but please do let us know, and we can do some juggling around like we did with Chris.
I'm good.
Thank you.
He's still smiling.
He had the night out, so.
Let's go flask. All right, so the investment, Steve's here, so let's address this. 6B, folks. Investment policy amendment.
Yeah. This is the stuff that's so fun reading.
I appreciate the red line a great deal.
I don't know how you can sit down and read all this stuff.
Right? The red line makes it pretty easy.
This is a very small change in this policy. The Mass Municipal Modernization Act last November changed the limits that we can invest in certificates of deposits. It used to be hard line, 1 year was the max, now it's up to 3 years. So we changed the language in a number of different places in this policy, but it's the same sentence. All it does is refer back to the Mass General Law, so the next time it changes, we don't have to come back here, we just follow what the Mass General Law says.
I don't have a question on that part, I understand that, but there are a couple other references, at least in the memo from Bonnie to Keith, to other changes in the overall policy update, and the specific ones in section 5, miscellaneous town administrative policies, employee handbook, and budget process. The recommendations there are to strike them here because they exist elsewhere, is that right?
That's her recommendation, yeah, that they're very old policies and based on subsequent ones are redundant.
Should there, and I'm okay with that, but should there at least be a recognition somewhere here that they do exist elsewhere?
Sure, yeah, we're not asking for action tonight on those, but
Okay.
we can certainly bring you forward specific language. That was a punch list from Bonnie of
Gotcha.
items that we want to bring. And
The only thing we really need to vote on is the...
Right, right, this is the one that we're ready to have
A
you
lot of
vote
those
on.
pieces, Paul, that you mentioned are in the
They're in the
personnel
financial,
bylaw.
right, in the other part are in the financial policies, I get that, but I just want to make sure if the one document somebody looks at is this, they at least know, if you're looking for some of these other things, go elsewhere, you know.
Okay.
Want a motion?
Yeah, I think
Well,
based on
there might be
your
questions, I'm
recommendations,
sorry.
any other questions?
Just one question, does this change actually, do you think it'll actually change our investment strategy at all, or is this just a paperwork change and we're not really investing much in CODs anymore?
We're doing a little in CDs. We probably have somewhere between 5 and 10 million in CDs right now. Would I go out 3 years? No.
Okay.
Would I stretch it to maybe a year and a half to
18
pick up
months, sure.
25 basis points? Absolutely.
Okay. So it's not a big part of the plan to stretch things out to 5 years?
Okay. Any other comments, questions? I'll entertain a motion now. Mr. Clavey?
I'll move that the Board of Selectmen vote to receive the proposed amendments to the investment policy prepared by the town treasurer and to schedule the adoption of said policies for the Board of Selectmen's next regular meeting.
Second. Moving second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you. Thanks, Steve.
Steve has another item.
He's
for him,
sticking around for
which
7A.
is the bond anticipation notes. We might want
Jump to 7A.
to take that up next.
We had a very successful bid on the fire station short-term borrowing. Remember, the project's 8.9 million. We got authorization from town meeting to borrow 6 million, and we're putting 2.9 million in from capital stabilization. The ban is for $5,959,000. Why it's not $6 million? Because we received some premium along with it. So the winning bidder, TD Securities, bid a 2% coupon, They've also, are going to be giving us $54,000 in premium, which brings the net interest cost down to 1.03.
04.
0442. So, we're under the, again, the Municipal Modernization Act. What happened before with bond premium is for things inside the levy, it would go to the general fund and be appropriated through the general fund. With the change in the state statutes now, we can reduce the amount we borrow. So we went out to bid at $6 million, we received $54,000 in premium. We're gonna pay $12,000 in change in bonding costs to issue this note.
Administrative.
$41,000 is gonna be to reduce the amount that we actually borrow. And there's a small amount that we'll have to appropriate in November to another project. I think it was a little over $1,000, $1,005 or something like that. So that was the total for the $54,000 and change that we received in premium. So the net interest cost is 1.03, as I mentioned before. It's an excellent rate. These will be maturing in May of next year, at which point we'll bond the fire station for 20 years. We'll include the $870,000 water betterment ban that we've been rolling for the water department for a couple of years. So that'll go into one bond.
Oh, good.
Next week, you'll be approving the alumni field short-term borrowing. However, we won't be going out to bid for that until the 19th, so you're going to be authorizing the ban to be issued, because you don't have a meeting on that date. What we will be asking is that you each come in on the 21st.
First or second.
22nd to my office, because you'll have to sign the notes.
And this is all because, as I put up on the screen here, the IRS has a 16-day waiting period between borrowings, and if you borrow within that window, then they're considered the same borrowing.
The same borrowing.
And-
So if we're
and we
bonding
wanted-
the fire station for 20 years,
Yeah.
and
Red alumni.
have
We don't want to
alumni, the same
inadvertently
thing.
borrow for alumni for 20 years, so we're keeping them apart. And since you don't meet on the 19th, you meet on the 12th, we'll take an authorizing vote with, we won't have the bid results yet, but it will authorize the board to execute the bid results from the following week.
And we'll send something around on the 19th with the results, and just a reminder to come in and stop at my office. Drop me an email and arrange a time. If
So the
it's
21st or the
after work,
22nd?
Let me know. If it's before work, let me know. I'm kind of flexible.
Before your work or my work?
No one's before your work.
All right. Okay, so it's 21st, 22nd, you guys let us know so we can schedule to get in here and give you an autograph. Okay. It's in there. So need a motion on that.
And this rate was lower than what we got. Tonight's rate is lower than what we got from the water.
You got a question, Joe?
The water department was
No, I'm just going to,
1.2%
go ahead, no, let's go ahead and read it.
back in March. So
Quite a bit lower.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Move the Board of Selectmen vote to adopt the form of the vote prescribed by bond counsel, a copy of which is attached hereto and made part of hereof, relative to the sale of a $5,959,000 bond anticipation note for the town for the fire station facility expansion authorized by November 16, 2016, special town meeting, Article 6, dated June 9th, 2017, and payable May 18th, 2018, to TD Securities at par with net interest costs of 1.0304442%.
Moved and seconded. Ms. Napoli?
And this is the form of the vote that he's sparing you from having to read.
As written?
As written.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Steve, thank you very much.
You may have
This is
saved
things
you
to
from
sign.
reading that, but you'll have a
Still
lot
have
of
to sign 'em?
signatures to
Yep.
do.
Let's start it
They're all
around.
marked.
That's tonight?
Joe, you have some
Yeah,
extra
tonight.
ones you need to sign as clerk.
That'll be, in order to get our 16 days in? Okay. So folks, this is exactly the kind of stuff that our policies and our talented people within our finance department, our treasurer, save us money every day by looking at these opportunities. They look like they're minuscule and saving, a couple basis points, but saves us a lot of money in the long term.
Right, 0.2% on $6 million. That's a chump change.
Steve, thank you to you.
Thank you,
and
Steve.
to Your peeps.
How do you want to do this?
All right. Meeting schedule?
Meeting schedule.
Okay.
Just, the chair had proposed some dates for the fall so that we could lock them in, and part of the discussion ended up being around, well, what's the date of, how do those meeting dates fit into when we might have fall special town meeting? And we floated some dates in November, as well as some dates in October, in late October. The moderator is not available on the Mondays in November. He would be available for October dates. We looked at the 23rd and the 30th of October, and the preferred date for special town meeting would be Monday, October 30. For a couple of reasons. It's when the planning board's consultant can be in attendance at town meeting, which is critical, because we're going to be bringing zoning amendments. She worked that's Judy Barrett. She is committed to Town of Ayers town meeting on the 23rd of October. So, and we want to make sure that she's here for ours. October 30th would work for the moderator. It works for the schools. Bonnie Holston is fine with that date, that she's looking for an early date for the tax rate recap hearing. In fact, her preferred date is Monday, November 13th, which was not one of the original dates proposed for a regular meeting. But if you adopted the 6th and the 13th of November as your meeting dates, we could have the tax rate classification hearing on November 13th. Bonnie's hoping that we can get that done early. If we had it a week later, say on November 20th, there's no one at the state who's working Thanksgiving week. Or they'd be on short staff, and it might delay setting the tax rate. But so by having the earlier town meeting, we can the warrant would close on September 22nd, which is about when it's closed for November town meetings, when we've done 45 days in advance. So it would give the planning board enough time. They're getting started with their consultant right now. So in context, we're looking at, if it's an October 30th special town meeting and a classification hearing on November 13th, then the recommendations would be the dates noted. The change from what's printed is that it would, instead of November 20th, the recommendation would be that it's the 13th.
Okay.
Everyone
okay with the
questions,
schedule?
comments, thoughts about the schedule?
Conforms with the Patriots schedule, the
Right,
Monday.
good.
Thank you for that.
All right, then I will move that the Board of Selectmen vote to schedule the following Board of Selectmen's meetings for the dates indicated at 6:30 PM in Room 103, Shattuck Street Building, unless otherwise noted. Monday, October 2nd and 23rd, 2017, regular meetings. Monday, November 6th and 13, 2017, regular meetings. Monday, December 4 and 18, 2017, regular meetings.
Second. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Let's see, we did
7C, 7D, and
So we are on
8A.
to
7C, yep.
Regional Housing Services.
This is an extension of the agreement that we've had with the town of Hudson and others, first executed in 2013 for regional housing services. This has been a very effective way for us to obtain the specialized services needed to monitor our rental and ownership housing that counts under the subsidized housing inventory. In addition, the five-town group that we've been involved with, we've been with Hudson, Bolton, Stowe, and Boxborough. will expand in the coming year to include Devon's. And there's interest from the Devon's Enterprise Commission and Mass Development, who have housing as part of their operation to join with our group. We're going out to bid right now. The lead community is Hudson. They're doing the procurement. We're going out to bid right now to get a consultant. We've had an excellent relationship with the Metro West Collaborative Development, but it was for a limited time, so we have to rebid, and I'm hopeful that they will be among those who are submitting proposals. Metro West CD, I think, has done great work for Littleton, I know, and for the other communities. They've been making sure that our subsidized housing inventory is kept up to date. They've stayed on top of the situation with rental and ownership properties, and I think it's been an effective way. $5,000 a year is what we pay with CPA funding to get this service, so.
It's worthwhile. Okay, so we need a motion to execute the IMA?
Yes, please.
Move the Board of Selectmen vote pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 40, subsection 4A, to authorize execution of an intermunicipal agreement, IMA, with the towns of Hudson, Boxborough, Bolton, Stowe, and Devens for the provisions of regional housing services offices, RHSO consultant services, including subsidized housing inventory monitoring.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Signatures are coming around. Thank you.
I think Joe missed one here.
We just have the signature page in the AMA.
One on there.
All right, so
7D.
Montechusett Regional Transit Authority. So we've got annual appointment.
Annual appointment, by statute, it's the chair of the Board of Selectmen, and to send anyone else, you need to have a vote of the board to authorize. And the board has been appointing me, I think, probably for the last 10 years as your rep. The meetings are on a Tuesday morning in Fitchburg. You're all welcome to
Beautiful this
come.
time of year.
There's pizza at the end of the meeting, so. And I will say that the management team that's in place now, especially the finance team, is a great one, that they've been getting the support that they need from MART administration. There are lots of financial challenges that they're facing, but they are doing an excellent job. There's no deficit on the transit side. There's a shortfall in the on a contractual arrangement that MART has with, for brokerage services it's too long to explain here, but the bottom line is that it can be resolved by getting a reimbursement rate increased, and they've done an excellent job making sure that we get that, so.
So what I heard is if we vote tonight, you get to eat my pizza.
Yes, I can bring you back a slice.
I'll entertain a motion.
I would let him do that, I'll tell you. Actually, that financial situation you're talking about, that's come a long way.
It was awful. We were routinely running a deficit of $1.5 million to $2 million a year until the state.
You want to be reappointed?
Until the state outlawed deficits, and suddenly
Funny how that works.
We started, the stick approach started working pretty well.
All right.
It's cumulative debt, they have over $20 million.
I'm about to move to appoint you, so, okay, good. Move that the Board of Selectmen vote to reappoint Town Administrator Keith Bergman to serve as the Town of Littleton's designated representative on the MART Advisory Board for a term of July 1st, 2017 through June 30th, 2018, and to so notify the Montechusett Regional Transit Authority.
And bring the pizza back.
Seconded by Cindy. Moved and seconded. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you very much, Keith. Bring a goodie bag.
Yeah, well, here we are at the
Goodie bag.
minutes. Are you taking these minutes now, Anthony?
I am not. No, Diane
Oh.
Dickerson in our office is
Okay.
doing the minutes.
Well, you thank, thank Diane, because these people said I was long-winded at this meeting, and if you read these minutes, it does not come across, so.
Watch the tape.
We specifically tell Diane that, you know, whose name needs to appear.
How often?
It took her 6 hours.
But on the tape, Glavy didn't, no, I know, just put it down. Glavy made the motion.
I think that's it, right?
Okay.
No, and Diane has been,
Just do a quick scan, make sure we all
Diane
got it.
Dickerson has been doing a fantastic job for us in the office on an interim basis.
Well, let her know we
Tell her she
appreciate
gets
it.
a solid
Very
A.
grateful, and Diane, you may enter that into the minutes.
That's right. Thank you, Diane.
Thank you.
Then I
We'll
will
bring you back a piece of pizza.
move that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the meeting minutes of May 22nd, 2017.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you very much. So we've got a couple of items that we are going to address. Board of Selectmen goals. Mr. Glavy and I are going to
Yeah.
address that at the next meeting.
I owe you something immediately.
Right.
Yep. And Church Meadow, I'm going to own that, and that'll
Yeah.
likely come up on 7/10. Church
And
Meadow.
we get some more appointments we're holding over too.
Got some
Yeah,
appointments that we're going to
COA
take
and
care of.
historical will kick
There.
those
Yeah,
forward to next week.
so we're good with that?
Do we have any appointments that the board is, the ultimate board where this person's going to be sitting, are going to want to kick the can down the road?
It's a good question, as it happened tonight.
Yeah, as it happened tonight. I mean, are those ones that we could get out in front of now and?
You mean on next week's schedule?
Right, next week's schedule, the board's going to want to take a look at those
Well,
people.
how do you feel about permanent municipal building committee? Because that's coming up.
Oh, I haven't even looked at those list, what's left out
Yeah,
there.
you
I know
got
the
per-
disability one is one that's
Got
out
per-
there.
Yeah, you've got,
PMBC's got how many appointments? I know Joe's up.
my
Who else?
thoughts too. But
Two.
I'd have to, I don't have
Is
the.
it Bob Bromley?
I think there's 2. I think Bob Romley and Joe.
I think it's Bob and Joe.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah,
Joe
I can
Joe
look at-
wants to see the fire station through to completion, right?
Yes.
And Alumni Field by the 28th of August, right? It's a commitment.
Well,
thought it was the
that's Carl
26th.
Bryant's. It's the 24th now. Carl Bryant's the lead in the Alumni Field project.
Yeah, here's the,
Anytime Joe's in the room, Joe's in the lead, right?
Joe's looking to stay on to finish the fire station.
you've got next week, Community Preservation Committee, 2 members, although I think we only got 1 application.
That's right.
So,
Can we get a reminder, memo of what's
So it's on the
vacant?
front.
Maybe, other people did a good job of beating the bushes. I haven't done much of that, but.
sure, yeah, we can get, yeah, we had sent you one about a week ago, but we can send you
Just kind
one
of,
again.
now it's
Yeah,
been pared
sure.
down a little bit. I'd
Yeah, we'll send
appreciate
you
it.
an update.
Thank you.
I think if the can is going to be kicked, the can is going to be kicked. We can, I can do a reach out to the different chairs.
Sure.
I think there are a number of committees, frankly, that we need to take a look at as a board and as a town to see whether or not they're still viable. And there's some committees that have no or very few members, haven't met in forever. And I think that they have to either be rolled into something else, have to be dissolved.
Well, I think
Or
the
in the case
master
like-
plan implementation committee is a good opportunity to roll in some of
Sure,
those,
right,
you know.
because there's things like the common committee and other stuff that would just be overlapping if we didn't blend it in there. And that's just a thought I had. The other one is, another one that needs to be, I think, focused is the sewer, because before it was a sewer study, now it's really a sewer implementation type thing, so.
The Board of Chairs, the Cooper Farm Preservation Committee, Crematory Study Committee, Disability Commission, Green Initiative Subcommittee, which became part of Sustainability, we already abolished that. Land Sale Committee, Littleton Common Committee, Littleton Sewer Feasibility, Master Plan Update Steering Committee. Now that we've got an implementation committee, we can probably dissolve that. Pay-as-you-throw implementation committee is still out there, the Quarry Committee, Roadway Construction, School Building Committee, Shade Tree Committee. I don't know that we need a committee for that. If Jim,
Now, there's
you know,
a specific law that they
but
they have
you have to have a warden. You don't have to have a committee.
Okay.
You have to have a warden who makes the decision. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's the
Worth
statute.
looking into.
Signed by law review, does that fall under planning board, zoning board?
Yeah, that was an ad hoc
Solar-
committee that
Right.
you set up.
Solar pilot Committee. There's 2 study committees, the Tricentennial General Planning Committee, Town Government Study Committees, Track and Field Funding Committee. I think there's some committees that we could eliminate out of that.
You just keep that hit list in your pocket?
It's happening.
You could form a
See the
committee to
notepads
see
on?
which committees you want.
There you go.
Well, that's great that you took note of that, so we absolutely should be considering dissolving or repurposing some of those
Yeah,
things.
It's been a while. I think about 5 years ago, we actually moved to dissolve a handful of committees, but it was a long list, and we could only bring ourselves to
Well,
dissolve.
some of them we can
Some of them-
dissolve, some of them
Yeah,
town
you
meeting
can.
has to dissolve. Depends on where they were set.
That's correct.
Right.
Or some of them, we need to light a fire under somebody,
Right.
and
New membership, reinvigorate, that sort of
this
thing.
is very important, why are we not doing it?
To
No,
dissolve.
no,
It's the third option.
All right, speaking of dissolving, motion to adjourn?
well played.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor of adjourning, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Unanimous? Thank you very much, folks. We're back here again tomorrow night. We have a joint meeting with
I will not be here, but
FinCom
don't
at
worry.
7 PM in this room. And our next Board of Selectmen meeting is next Monday night.
Right.
Thank you very much. Have a
You
good
and I
night.
gotta figure out a plan to get together. You gotta travel these guys.